Part 60. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 593. Welcome to Renren Novel. Please remember the address of this website, read on your mobile phone so that you can read the latest chapter of the novel Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky at any time. Among the bunch of stunned strong men on the ground, there were a group of people from the Angel camp. The one fighting below is really, Jia Yan? That Jia Yan from the early days of the Starry Sky, the pink monster asked the other partners with some difficulty at this moment. I don't know. Jia Yan's strength can't be that strong. Is his hidden strength really so terrifying that, he's at the level of the top 10 strong men? The four-eyed monster is also incomparable. Of shock, the scaly monster just shook his head. She finally knew why Jia Yan rejected her, because he and she were not in the same world at all. Boom. At this moment when all the powerful men are still speculating, a roaring sound resounded across the sky and the earth. Along with this sound, the earth cracked, and an invisible figure suddenly rose from the earth, violently knocking a huge gap into the ground. The strong people on the ground are 100 or 200 kilometers away from there, and only a few kilometers away from there. The collection point planet is so big, and the collection points are relatively close. Before, the strong people were only separated and placed just various collection points. It happened that the collection point everyone in Angel Camp went to that day was not far from Jia Yan's previous collection point. It was just 3 kilometers away. For a strong person, this distance could be seen clearly at a glance. It's Jia Yan, the pink monster shouted in horror, her eyes shining with disbelief, and she seemed to have doubts about her own eyes. It's really Jia Yan, he's so fast, the four-eyed monster also screamed in shock. The other two beings were also extremely surprised. I saw the huge existence rushing out of the ground. The surface of the body was covered with a layer of material. The appearance at this moment was not very similar to before. However, a strong person does not rely on the appearance of the other person to judge the identity of an existence. Now Jia, although Yan's appearance has changed a bit, his sense of energy and the way he moves are exactly the same as before. In addition, even if his appearance changes, there is not much difference. Therefore, the beings of Tianchuo camp who have lived together for many days, it was immediately obvious that this was Jia Yan. But Jia Yan's speed and the energy he displayed made them unbelievable. Boom boom boom. Big Mosquito's body instantly broke through the underground space. At this moment, he knew that the pursuers from behind were coming. He had no time to look at the surrounding scenery. He directly expanded his speed and flew away towards the elevator in the passage. Where to escape? A shocking voice suddenly sounded from behind. The owner of this voice is naturally Master Pai Lan, one of the top 10 powerful men in this galaxy. He is extremely angry at this moment because his body is much larger than Jia Yan. So in the pursuit just now, Jia Yan could escape along the tunnel he had just dug in front, but he could only hit hard. You must know that there is an extremely solid Chaos Stone area below. Although he is one of the top 10 strong men, the Chaos Stone that hit all the way also lost a lot of power at this moment. Give me your life. He protruded out of the Chaos Stone area, and his flight speed suddenly increased. In almost a second, he approached Jia Yan's body and bombarded him directly. This blow is really filled with strong anger. It contains not just a little bit of power, but at least 80% of the energy. The big mosquito escaping in front suddenly increased its flying speed with its brilliant light flashing at this moment. Even though it was still not comparable to Pai Lan behind him, his speed increased in an instant to a limit that had never been shown before. Suddenly, Pai Lan behind him made a mistake in judgment, and his claws actually brushed Jia Yan's body. Boom, even if it didn't hit Jia Yan, the blow still hit the air hard, and the whole earth and air suddenly shook. It seemed like the planet was shaking. Huh, Pai Lan was a little shocked. In the past, Jia Yan had to rely on the terrain under the Chaos Stone to avoid his attacks, or he couldn't dodge at all and could only rely on his strangely strong body to resist. But this time, the opponent actually dodged his attack in an instant. How can this be? The Holy Powerful, is it really so terrifying? No. How come his strength has almost reached the advanced stage in the starry sky? What is going on? Is he not a Holy Powerful at all? Pai Lan looked at Jia Yan, who was escaping in front of him. He could intuitively feel that the opponent's escape speed was many times faster than when he saw him just now. How long has it been? Only a few minutes at most. Pai Lan looked at Jia Yan, but within a few seconds, the energy on his body felt increased again. This. What kind of monster are you? He was a little frightened and did not dare to attack, because he was afraid that at this speed, Jia Yan would reach his level in an instant. I'm too lazy to care about you. Jia Yan looked back at the opponent. Why didn't he know at this moment that the top 10 strong man chasing him from behind was questioning his change in strength, but he didn't have the time to answer, and he didn't want to answer anything. Although his strength was accelerating, Jia Yan felt that his consciousness was disappearing quickly, and the condensation on the surface of his body gurgled out, covering his entire body. For him, the time at this moment is precious, because he doesn't know how long his consciousness can exist. If he falls into a coma, he will have no choice but to wait and die. He looked behind him, and was about to show off his speed to escape, but out of the corner of his eye, he glanced at the angel camp beings who had passed by and escaped. At this moment, Jia Yan showed a kind expression to them. Although both sides may not be able to see each other's expression clearly at that moment, he still did so at this moment. The existence of Angel Camp is a rare friend in this life for him, who is lonely. Jia Yan had a hunch that this meeting might be the last one we would never see again. Goodbye, friends. He said softly from the bottom of his heart. Perhaps because the members of the Angel Battalion affected his speed and vigilance, he did not dodge a claw that was approaching quickly from behind. Boom! Jia Yan's body was directly hit by Pai Ian's claw, and he was sent flying away. Coincidentally, the direction of the flight was where the elevator passage was. In mid-air, blue light flashed sharply on Jia Yan's body, and the blue defense seemed to have reached its limit again. The sounds of tearing continued to sound on it, but after several huge cracks appeared, this time the blue defense actually narrowly resisted Pai Ian's claw. Impossible. Even a claw with 90% of my strength can be blocked. Previously, it was clear that even a blow with 70% of my strength could not be blocked, Pai Lan shouted in fear from behind. It's not that he has lost the bearing of a strong man, but that Jia Yan's situation is actually unimaginably weird to him. This existence was clearly ridiculously weak before, and it only relied on an inexplicable powerful defense. Resist his attack, but now that his attack has been upgraded to the 9th level of strength, even his azure defense cannot be scratched. Master Palin, we are here to help you. With a loud shout, a team suddenly jumped up from the ground looking at the existence of uniform equipment. From their appearance, you can tell that they are a team that has the same training method as the ordinary soldiers below, but it is obvious that their strength is much stronger than those ordinary soldiers. Boom boom boom. Several existences who had reached the mid to late starry sky level jumped up. Although they did not have the terrifying strength of Pai Lan, none of them were easy to deal with for Jia Yan now. It turns out that the one who was chasing me was Pai Lan, one of the top 10 powerhouses. Such a powerful being is only ranked 9th. It's scary. There are 2 other top 10 powerhouses here, and they are both more powerful than Pai Lan. I have to run away quickly, it's best not to alert those 2 guys. There was some determination in his eyes, and there were strong men coming towards him one after another. 2 of them were even in the late stage of starry sky, and one of them was vaguely not an ordinary late stage in starry sky. but Jia Yan still hit him head-on. If we talk about his current strength, it is hard to say whether Jia Yan can win against the two late-stage Xing Kong beings, but he has an advantage that these late-stage strong men cannot have. That's Jia Yan's blue defense. You know, this defense is a powerful defensive force that can even block the Pai Lan at the rear. Boom boom boom. There was a thunderous sound in the sky, and the sound completely covered up other sounds on the entire earth. There was even the early existence of the starry sky below. The body was shaken to the point of being unable to stand, and fell directly to the ground. The mere vibration is so terrifying, which shows how terrifying the attack that Jia Yan will endure will be. Jia Yan is in danger. With such a combined attack, if we go up and touch him even a little bit, we will die. The four-eyed monster was below, looking at the battle scene above, making a somewhat unrealistic judgment. In fact, after making this judgment, he wanted to overturn his judgment. After all, Jia Yan had resisted all the attacks of Lord Lan in the row. This time, although many soldiers and strong men attacked together, the power was not good. It's not necessarily stronger than Master Palin's attack. Sure enough, when the attack ended, the strong men watching below saw a fast blue shadow in the center of all the attacks and bombardments, fiercely protruding and hitting a mid-star soldier monster. His speed is no worse than the strong ones in the mid-term, and compared to the fear of the opponent, the determination in his eyes is stronger. Within a moment, the two collided. The strong man in the middle stage only felt that an irresistible force suddenly collided with his body. After that, he only felt that his body flew away involuntarily. Jia Yan actually knocked the opponent's starry mid-term being, who was not necessarily weaker than the Mantis referee, away with one blow. His own body also suffered some counter-shock force. It happened that a monster soldier's attack from behind came. Jia Yan took advantage of the skill of the opponent's attack and collided with the opponent fiercely. His body continued to approach the passage for a long time. Die. In front of Jia Yan, Pai Lan had already seen that Jia Yan wanted to escape through the passage, and was waiting to catch him with his claws. This time there was a strange feeling on his claws, which was very similar to the feeling of his body blending into the surrounding environment. But at this moment, his body was exposed instead, and his claws entered that magical hidden state. This blow might have broken off his strongest attacker's hand. When Jia Yan saw this scene, he immediately understood. The opponent has not shown the maximum attack power before. Jia Yan can understand. After all, in Pai Yan's view, Jia Yan's strength is really weak. In Jia Yan's view, the opponent's previous attacks were absolutely unbelievable and terrifying. He felt that he could not escape the killing move, no matter any move. Fortunately, Zanlin's defense was so powerful that he escaped time and time again. But this time it was different. In this attack, the opponent must have regarded Jia Yan as a strong person of equal status, so they did not hold back in the slightest when attacking. You can't retreat, otherwise you will be surrounded by a group of strong men and Pai Lan. Jia Yan made a judgment at this moment. After thinking about this, Jia Yan suddenly activated all the energy he could use now. Especially the azure defense on the body surface, because the reaction is relatively slow, it directly evaporates to the highest peak that can be used now. Puff puff. The blue defense was bursting with light at this moment, and it seemed that there was a faint tendency to change into another substance. However, Jia Yan's full power exploded, but it still did not change. It was just dazzling, like a little blue sun. Both in the air have reached their peak state, but Jia Yan's momentum is more than a head weaker than the opponent's, but he still rushes towards the seemingly impossible opponent with overwhelming momentum. Come on. Jia Yan. This was the first time Pai Lan called out Jia Yan's name in this battle, because the previous Jia Yan didn't even have the strength to face him. And now, even if Jia Yan's real strength is far weaker than him, Jia Yan's azure defense alone is enough to make him treat him as an equal. Puff. The two in the air collided. The blue color on the surface of Jia Yan's body became even more dazzling. The opponent's claws hidden in the air suddenly appeared from the air just before attacking Jia Yan, and directly collided with Jia Yan's extremely blue front feet. Boom boom boom. A huge sense of collision of power reverberated in the sky. The collision between the two was like sparks hitting the earth. Although their strength was very different, the blue defense that Jia Yan blessed his front foot was also extremely terrifying. Level, so the collision between the two actually ended in a stalemate for a moment. However, it was only for a moment. The next moment, Jia Yan's stabbed right forefoot made a crisp snapping sound from the tip. Click. A gentle sound in the battlefield should not have been considered loud at first, but the sound at this moment represented the appearance of Jia Yan's serious injury. His stabbed right front foot collided with Pai Yan's claws, but at this moment, little cracks appeared, and then with a cracking sound, it turned into pieces and fell all over the sky. Die. Pai Yan's eyes looked at Jia Yan with a trace of evil aura. At this moment, one of Jia Yan's front legs was truly crippled. The fear in his heart for the monster's powerful defense power. That's when I truly let go. Even if the other party is really weird, or even that terrifying existence, as long as he is killed here, nothing will happen in the future. The enemies you kill, no matter how terrible they are just a thing of the past. His other claw reached out silently. This blow still felt like it was hidden in space, and when it came out, Jia Yan could not feel any momentum, no sound of wind, not even the fluctuation of space, which shocked him even more. What a powerful attack! My strongest right front foot is disabled. I can't fight him head on. I have to avoid it. He looked at the blow with a hint of calmness in his cold compound eyes. He was not shocked at all when his right front foot was crippled. He was about to mutate, and as long as he didn't die, he could recover from any serious injury. Huh? After Pai Lan entered this attack state, his body speed seemed to slow down. He finally discovered Pai Yan's shortcomings at this moment. Jia Yan analyzed the opponent's blind spot area, W, and just before the attack came, he used all his strength and rushed downwards desperately. Boom boom boom. Jia Yan's strength has improved too much. After discovering Pai Yan's shortcomings, his speed temporarily surpassed Pai Yan's in a short period of time, and he successfully escaped from the opponent's terrifying blow. In front of him was the passage area. Pai Lan and the strong soldiers were all left behind by him. But obviously, it was impossible for the other party to open the elevator and let Jia Yan take it. But he didn't expect this either. The first moment Jia Yan got out of Pai Yan's attack range, he directly mobilized all the energy in his body. At this moment, he is in the process of mutation, and his power is endless. It may not even be much less than the total amount after mutation. So the energy is really free to use. Give me. The energy he drummed up now had a hint of spurt. After that, this spurt of energy was completely transferred to the uninjured left forefoot. Break. The left front foot was the tip of the spear, and the entire body circled and hit the passage building that was several kilometers in diameter. Boom. Rubbles and explosive flames flew everywhere in the sky and the earth. His body didn't stop for a moment at this moment, and charged directly in, penetrating directly through the damaged passage area. The passage also began to sway in an instant, as if the foundation had been damaged and was a little shaky. Fortunately, it was really an interstellar building. Under Jia Yan's bombardment, there was no direct danger. Instead, it stabilized after shaking for a while. However, the air burst and flowed directly into it, causing the area is filled with strong winds as the air is sucked in through the channels. Asshole. Jia Yan, you and I are at odds with each other. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 594. Welcome to Renren Novel. Please remember the address of this website, read on your mobile phone so that you can read the latest chapter of the novel Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky at any time. Pai Lan felt ashamed when he saw that Jia Yan had escaped from his hands again, and he had tried his best to escape. At this moment, he rushed directly into the passage without hesitation and pursued directly. We are also chasing him. He even destroyed the passage. The matter is really big. It seems that the other two adults may also be alerted. Come on, as the subordinates of Mr. Palin, we can't let those two. Your Excellency thinks that we have done nothing. The Starry Sky high-ranking person from behind shouted to the remaining team members. Afterwards, a group of strong soldiers rushed in through the gap in the passage, equally furious. Follow closely the footsteps of Jia Yan and Na Pai Lan. In the blink of an eye, the area where the collection point was located was restored to calm. There was only one stunned strong man who felt unbelievable about the scene that had happened before. Is that really Jia Yan, who lost many games in a row in the conference before? It's impossible. I beat him at that time. This sir shouldn't hold grudges, right? I don't know his true nature. So strong, a powerful creature who had defeated Jia Yan looked at the gap in the passage and said with some difficulty. Just wish yourself good luck. Lord Jia Yan seems to be extremely powerful, but don't worry. He is being chased by Lord Pai Lan like a dog in the water. Maybe the other two will come later. The top 10 powerful men who are stationed here will also be dispatched. He has little chance of escaping. A companion immediately comforted him. However, thinking about the scene where Jia Yan was surrounded by more than a dozen strong men from the team directly under Palin, and how he rushed out of the battle area by relying on his body to defend himself, and even escaped alive, these strong men, whether being able to kill Jia Yan was a bit uncertain again. But no matter what, this Jia Yan is really outrageous. If we tell what he has done now, no one will believe it. This guy has been hiding too deeply before. A well-known strong man, from the previous disbelief to Jia Yan's words, to now feels that it is unbelievable, and some people will no longer underestimate Jia Yan's combat power. As for the Angel Camp, after watching the battle between Jia Yan and Pai Lan and all the subordinates of Pai Yan's team, they couldn't speak to themselves for a long time. That row of Master Ian's team was even able to temporarily resist a top 10 strong man with the power of their combined attack, but they still didn't leave Jia Yan behind. It seems that we really know too little about this former comrade. The four-eyed monster smiled bitterly and shook his head. Stop talking, are we on the same level as him? I just saw that his strength has improved rapidly in the short battle. Although I don't know what he did when he entered this collection point, but it must be to improve his strength, right? His current strength is so terrifying, if he continues to improve. The scale monster next to him said in a faint voice. She had given up on being with Jia Yan before, but seeing that Jia Yan was really such a terrifying and strong man, she felt that she had given up the best choice, and her words were full of sourness. The four-eyed monster and the pink monster looked at each other, and both shook their heads helplessly. They had always known about the matter between the scale monster and Jia Yan, but at this time, it seemed that Jia Yan's attitude had always been refusal. After all, the gap between the two sides is too big. Not to mention the comments made by the powerful monsters here about Jia Yan. When Jia Yan absorbed the Chaos Stone and began to mutate, he would never be on the same level as the opponents he had fought with before, and even had to be cautious. In the future, they will only become stronger and stronger, and they will get farther and farther away from these strong men. They are destined to be just passers-by on the road of the big mosquito's power. Boom 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 boom. The long passage was pitch black. It turned out that even though there was an elevator going up and down here, there was no air, so the sound could not be transmitted, and it seemed extremely quiet. But at this moment, there was a huge sound, and it was ringing. One after another, terrifying sounds continued to resound throughout an area of dozens of kilometers in radius, and there were constant sounds of battle explosions, lighting up in the dark area. It turns out that the outside air entered here through a large broken hole. Therefore, the area that had been silent for decades or hundreds of years seemed to suddenly have sound effects and became vivid. But this kind of vividness is caused by fighting. The beauty is also tragic beauty. Go, go, go. The sound of the battle between the two sides was transmitted directly through the area of considerable length and spread to the surroundings. One of the fighting parties is a huge mosquito monster. Of course, if humans saw his body decades ago, they would definitely be extremely frightened, because it is too huge. A mosquito is larger than any existing thing on the earth. Creatures are much larger. On the other side of the battle, there is a powerful monster that seems to be hidden in space, with a looming figure. At this moment, this monster kept appearing and disappearing in the darkness. Not only did it have a weird speed, but its attack power and combat experience were far greater than that of the giant mosquito. It could be said that it had an overall advantage. But here's the weird thing. This powerful creature is actually unable to kill the opponent directly, and it often knocks back the big mosquito after attacking it. How is it possible? His strength has increased again. Pailan was knocked away again by the counter-shock force of Jean Ian's defense. His expression was filled with shock and anger. Jia Yan's fighting power was increasing all the time since he was fighting him, and there was almost no bottom line. Pai Ian's attack before could easily hurt the big mosquito, but now even if he attacks with all his strength, he can only bring a little damage to Jin, and even Jean Ian's defense can't be broken again. Yeah, the big mosquito in the battle, that is, Jia Yan, also discovered this at this moment. He finally felt a little relieved about his improved strength. You know, this is when he really has some self-protection. Time of strength. Before, he had been fighting with his life hanging by a thread. If Pai Ian's attack power landed on his vital part, he might be dead. The biggest advantage of mutation is that the first thing to be enhanced is the defense. After Jia Yan waited for so long, it seems that his defense has finally mutated to a point where the opponent cannot easily penetrate it. He stretched out his front foot. Although there was only one left front foot left, the left front foot was much stronger than before and was able to collide with the opponent. Bang! After the confrontation between the two, Jia Yan flew backwards, obviously unable to compare with his opponent in terms of strength. However, Jia Yan was flying in the direction of the port of the passage. At this time, with the help of this force, he flew directly up, faster. Master Palin, we are here to help. The members of Pai Ian's personal guards who flew from behind shouted at Pai Lan. They chased for a long time before catching up with the two strong men in the fighting area. Naturally, they wanted to show off at this time. Be careful, this guy's strength has improved again, Pai Lan shouted at the latter, and then he took the lead in attacking Jia Yan. Jia Yan really doesn't want to fight at this moment, because there is something wrong with his body. Originally, he should have stopped moving and fallen into a deep sleep when he had mutated to this extent. However, because of the powerful enemy, not only could he not fall into deep sleep, he must not only sleep, but also maintain his body's mobility, which hinders his own mutation, and severe pain is transmitted to his body all the time. But the opponent's constant pressure forced him to fight. Death, Pai Lan struck with one blow. Jia Yan's speed increased at this moment, and only he could approach easily. Jia Yan's eyes were filled with resentment. The other party was pursuing him too urgently, and he couldn't even see the possibility of escape. All we have to do is face it. He also stretched out his front foot. At this moment, Jia Yan was still a little depressed about losing one of his right front feet. If he still had a right front foot, his combat effectiveness would be greatly improved. Although it was still impossible to defeat Pai Lan, it would be easier to get rid of his attacks. Bang! The confrontation between the two once again resulted in an additional scar on the blue defense of Jia Yan's body, and Jia Yan's inverted flight became even faster. Jia Yan, Dai, the star-level high-level Pai Lan subordinate had arrived behind Jia Yan at some point. At this moment, he used his own exclusive weapon and struck down hard. Boom! Jia Yan was caught off guard and was directly hit. Damn it, his defense is so terrifying. When the monster saw that although he succeeded with one blow, Jia Yan's increasingly hard blue defense was now steadily resisting its attack, he roared in fright and rage. A sound. The other pursuers also found it difficult to defend Jia Yan. Not to mention their strength compared to Pai Lan, even compared to the existence of this starry sky-level pinnacle, there is a huge gap. At this moment, attacks one after another took the opportunity to attack Jia Yan, but they did not receive any effect. He had to use the force of the countershock to quickly rush towards the front of the passage. Boom boom boom. This passage area is surrounded by various huge tubes. Among them is the elevator that Jia Yan took before, and there are 20 or 30 tubes in this elevator. This shows how many elevators there are here. But even if they don't take the elevator, the speed of the two parties fighting at this moment is not only not slower than taking the elevator, but also faster. Jia Yan's speed before the mutation was 50 times faster than the speed of sound on Earth. He didn't even know how fast he was now. He only knew that the surrounding scenery was constantly changing in an instant, and his body was knocked away from time to time. There are many things in front of you, but your speed is still extremely fast. Escape. There was only one word in his mind. The condensation caused by the mutation appeared on the surface of his body bit by bit at this moment. Although most of it was directly knocked away and scattered by the attacks of several strong men, some of it still remained stubbornly, and in order to resist the attacks from the outside world, the more and more condensation, combined with the azure defense on the surface of the body, directly becomes as tough as the azure defense. Monster. What kind of monster is this? While fighting and chasing, some of the strong men from the pursuing Palin team actually collapsed as they chased them. They saw Jia Yan's defense resisting their attacks again and again. To them, although the big Mosquito at this moment had not shown strong fighting energy, this inexplicable and strange defensive power made them think that this Mosquito was the monster is terrifying. The exit of the passage is ahead, don't let him escape from the passage. When Pai Lan saw that some of his subordinates could not help but feel frightened towards Jia Yan, they immediately spoke out to cheer them up. But this reminded the sleepy Jia Yan that his consciousness was about to disappear at this moment. The exit of the passage is here so quickly. It's tens of thousands of kilometers away. When he woke up, his first thought was that something felt wrong, but when he looked back, he saw that the exit on the other side of the passage was right in front of him. Having flown such a long distance in such a short period of time made Jia Yan's eyes slightly shocked. But at this moment, he regained some consciousness and immediately grasped the situation at the moment. When he saw the entrance of the passage, Jia Yan directly summoned all the strength in his body and rushed towards it. This road is blocked, go back. But at this moment, Jia Yan was surprised to find that there was a four-legged monster in front of him that didn't look very tall and was even about the same size as an average earthling. Although he was small in stature, the strength he exuded from his body was revealed at this moment, as if the mountains pressing down on him made Jia Yan unable to breathe. The strength of this monster was also displayed to an incredible level at this moment. Pai Lan, who was behind, looked vaguely frightened when he saw the appearance of this monster. Okay. Master Xingguo is here. Stop him quickly. This is a being who destroyed the collection point. We must kill him. His power transmission uses true energy, which is different from the brainwave power transmission. It is obviously very efficient at this moment and very fast. It is used almost the moment the opponent appears to intercept Jia Yan. Lord Xingguo? Although Jia Yan was a little confused at the moment, when he heard the name, he still came over suddenly. Lord Xingguo, isn't he the strongest among the Tianlong strongmen, the fourth among the top 10 strongmen who are stationed at this collection point? with a strength that even exceeds that of Pai Lan. And just when Jia Yan reacted, the opponent's protruding foot seemed to follow him like a shadow. It was clearly several kilometers away before, but now it came to Jia Yan like lightning. So fast. Is this the strength of the fourth among the top 10 strong men? Jia Yan looked at the not-so-big strong man who came to him. His body was only as big as Jia Yan's eyeball, but Xinguo's momentum was like a huge mountain, overwhelming Jia Yan until he could not breathe. And just when Jia Yan was a little confused, the opponent's blow had already landed hard on Jia Yan's body. The center of his head was struck directly by Xinguo's forefoot, like a bell ringing. Jia Yan's whole body was shaken, and he almost lost consciousness at this moment. The opponent's strength is still very different from the current Jia Yan. Jia Yan knew that for this being, even though his strength had improved by leaps and bounds and his blue defense had been greatly enhanced, he had absolutely no luck with the opponent's overwhelming advantage. No, I can't lose my mind. Escape is almost in sight. How can I give up here? Jia Yan was thinking a lot at the moment, thinking about the crises he had faced after his rebirth. He had survived each and every crisis and resolved each crisis. However, if he died here this time, he would really not be willing to do so. That's right. This place is already close to the port star. The outside world may already be within the area of the port star, so. Jia Yan suddenly thought of this. The area where Xinguo intercepted him was at the top of the channel order side, which was where the exit of the port star was. Even if Xinguo broke through in an instant and directly bombarded him, the area of the channel at this moment must be the port star. Where? The moment he was bombarded by a powerful force, Jia Yan figured this out. At this moment, those powerful people in the rear directly want to surround Jia Yan at this moment. As long as his body is blasted back to them, these powerful people can directly surround him. Besiege Jia Yan. No matter how strong Jia Yan is, there is no way he can resist Master Xinguo. You must know that even though they are both among the top 10 strong men, the contrast between the strengths and weaknesses is still extremely terrifying. If Xinguo, the fourth-placed powerhouse, wants to kill Pai Lan, it may only take him less than 20 seconds. No matter how strong Jia Yan is, Xinguo's strength is not that of a blue man. Maybe after a few blows, Jia Yan's strange defense will be shattered and he will be killed directly. At this moment, Xinguo didn't attach much importance to Jia Yan's strength. He was just a little surprised that he could escape from Pai Lan. But it was just strange. Just before, he heard those words of his. The Tianlong clan said that this Jia Yan player actually killed one of their clansmen. He was just thinking of a way to get rid of Jia Yan. Now, just in time, the other party came to the door, and no one would say anything if he was removed. Suddenly, Xinguo felt something strange. Jia Yan, who was blasted away by himself, actually advanced in the air without retreating, and directly hit the powerful beings who were besieging them with the help of the force of the blast. No. His target is the passage wall, stop him, Xinguo's surprised voice sounded. It's up to me. Pai Lan bore the brunt and intercepted directly in front of Jia Yan's path. He raised his palm fiercely and pressed it towards Jia Yan. And the moment before he came into contact with Jia Yan's drowsy state suddenly became clear. His speed suddenly increased, and he moved directly to the side to avoid Pai Yan's attack. Seeing that Jia Yan's speed was actually improved compared to before, Pai Lan was annoyed and wanted to pursue him, but Jia Yan had already passed through the area he intercepted in an instant, and even stopped a Xin Kong who was also in the area in an instant. In the midterm, it screamed and flew upside down upon impact. And before Xinguo could arrive in time, Jia Yan flew upside down with a few force, and his body hit the passage hard. Boom. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 595. Welcome to Renren Novel. Please remember the address of this website, read on your mobile phone so that you can read the latest chapter of the novel Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky at any time. On the port planet of the collection point, it was a scorching artificial daytime, and as the final stage of the collection conference, the place was more lively than before. Many media gathered in the area near the passage, waiting for the stars of the conference to appear after the collection. In front of them. In fact, previous conferences have gradually developed a similar model, and no one cares about the actual collection, because no force cares about the Chaos Stones, and only participates for the visibility of their own force and their personal reputation. Of the conference. Can you tell me what stars this conference has achieved? I think in addition to the winning team jersey, there are a few dark horses who can also be considered winners. I see there is also the Angel Camp. You must know that they were not well known at all before. After this conference, their reputation has directly increased to an extremely high level. It seems that their power will definitely develop more smoothly in this galaxy in the future. Isn't the Angel Camp relying on Jia Yan? But Jia Yan is no more than mediocre. His strength is defeated by real masters. He has never won a real battle. He has to have. How can he win against a mid-level expert? I think he is just trying to gain fame, and he is destined to annihilate everyone in the future. Several reporters were talking about the outstanding people in this collection conference. They were reporters and had a strong sense of smell. They could quickly analyze several powerful people, but no one was optimistic about Jia Yan. As they were talking, boom! An earth-shaking sound exploded next to these reporters. Each reporter was not a strong person. They had tinnitus in their ears for an instant. Their bodies could not bear the roar and they fell directly to the ground. Only those beings above the earth level were not affected too much. At this moment, they turned their sights in horror to the place where the huge noise broke out. It was the passage that exploded. They were all extremely surprised. This interstellar channel was not made of ordinary materials. If a powerful being could destroy it, they believed it. However, the powerful being here could only be done by the top 10 powerful men. For such a thing, would the top 10 powerful men destroy their own things? It's simply impossible. Each of them looked at the area with a bit of shock in their eyes as they looked at the area that suddenly exploded. Then they saw a dark monster struggling out of it. Isn't this the Jia Yan we just talked about? How is it possible that he is so fast? A slightly more powerful reporter saw Jia Yan's face clearly. After all, there are various strong men among reporters. This strong man is a heaven-level peak. Although he is nothing compared to the starry sky-level powerhouse, however, it is still possible to clearly see Jia Yan's figure in a distant place. After all, the farther the distance, the harder it is to see fast objects. Jia Yan? Why is it him? Several reporters on the side who were not injured asked in response as if they were frightened. However, the powerful reporter who was at the top of the sky had no time to respond to his words. At this moment, the strong man looked at the scene in the sky and was speechless. It turned out that behind Jia Yan's body, a series of figures suddenly appeared through the hole and flew directly, and each figure was not much slower than Jia Yan who appeared in front. What made this reporter shocked and speechless was that each of their figures were unimaginably noble beings for those living in this galaxy. And he is an incredibly powerful man. What? Isn't that Master Palin? The top 10 powerful men are chasing Jia Yan, the reporter shouted in horror at the figure that appeared behind him. As for the reporters on the other side, their strength has not reached that level at this moment, and each of them can only see shadows flying and fighting in the sky. But upon hearing this powerful man's words, these famous reporters all widened their eyes in great surprise. What, you said that the person chasing Jia Yan in the sky is Lord Palin? Isn't Jia Yan very weak? How could Lord Palin chase him in person? His strength is not even that of a powerful midterm star in the sky. Is it possible to win? Now being hunted down by Lord Palin himself. That powerful reporter, after seeing Pailan, slowly flying out of the hole in the passage behind Pailan, his eyes were wide open. This is actually Master Xingguo. Jia Yan's virtue and ability are so great that even Master Xingguo is dispatched. However, his speed really seems to be a lot stronger. No. It's completely different. Oh, his defense power can actually defend against Master Palin's attack. What on earth is going on? Is there something wrong with my world? Jia Yan, who we said before has no strength, is actually like this, a terrifying existence. The reporter was speechless for a while and continued to doubt himself. The remaining reporters looked at each other at this moment. As reporters, they all smelled what might be the biggest news in the past few decades. They quickly set up their own equipment. Although most of their assistants fell down, how could they not be able to do this as beings who could resist the sound? Although each of them could not clearly see the battle above, they started live broadcasting directly. No one among the strong men fighting above was distracted by the commotion below. For them, the battle at this moment had reached an extremely fierce situation. This Jia Yan, his fighting power has made a breakthrough again. If this continues, our strength will be surpassed by him. Pai Lan struck down, but his attack was blocked by Jia Yan's front foot. Even this resistance could not even knock Jia Yan away. The speed at which he improved his strength was simply terrifying. Get out of the way, I'll do it. A terrifying sound came from behind, causing Pai Lan, who was fighting with Jia Yan, to step away. The moment he stepped back, a small figure suddenly hit him. Arrive, knocking all Pai Lan away. You guy, Pai Yan's eyes were filled with anger, but in the face of a formidable enemy, he could only endure his anger for the time being in response to the existence that had knocked him away. Jia Yan also looked at the attacking being with some solemnity. For him, among the enemies here at this moment, only Pai Lan and the attacking being could pose a threat to his life. As for other existences, it's not that they are not strong enough, but that Jia Yan's defensive strength at this moment has even reached the level of mutation completion, so they cannot easily break through his defense, so the damage to Jia Yan will be minimal. A lot. The existence that struck was naturally the one that made Jia Yan feel more in danger than Pai Lan. He was also the supreme powerhouse of the Tianlong clan Xing Wu. For Jia Yan, this small being was truly unfathomably powerful at this moment. Even though his strength had improved again, Jia Yan still had no confidence in being able to block the opponent's attack. Why haven't you come yet? Come on, come on. At this moment, Jia Yan used the power of his brain waves to press a button hidden in the wing membrane of his body. It was the button of the spacecraft controller. At this moment, Jia Yan really doesn't have many ways to deal with the opponent's strength. In fact, even if he is a strong person like Pai Lan, he doesn't have the slightest means to deal with him at this moment. He can only block the opponent's attack with his defenseless body. He had no choice but to find a way to escape. The button in the wing membrane made a crisp response. Activated. Jia Yan looked at the things in his wing membrane with some surprise in his heart. Naturally, what he pressed was the button of the spacecraft. Before, it seemed that the signal was blocked in the channel, so their previous operations were completely ineffective. Now the ship responded. Fortunately, I had made preparations before and parked the spacecraft at the private company's docking port. Otherwise, the other party might have blocked the Anglibi long ago. Jia Yan thought about the situation at this moment and felt a little lucky. The spaceship started, but the crisis at hand did not subside. The Xingguo attack fell directly. This feint attack seemed to be more powerful than the previous attack. Jia Yan felt a stagnation appear in the world around his body. This was the feeling that the other party's energy exceeded his too much, sealing the entire world. Humph. My real ability has improved since the mutation started. It's not that easy for you to block me easily. The light in Jia Yan's eyes suddenly burst out. Afterwards, a brilliant golden light suddenly lit up on his body. Although it feels a little weaker than the true light shining on the surface of Xinguo's body, it is still extremely dazzling. This is Jia Yan's true power that has reached an extremely terrifying level through the addition of mutant energy. It's really good, but I can't control it well. I'll die. When Xingu saw Jia Yan's true power, he was startled. His expression recovered after a moment, and he continued to attack his head with one blow. The head of every creature is an important key point. He also thinks that Jia Yan's defense is too strong. He can only attack the key part of Jia Yan's head to kill him with one blow. Humph. Hold on, a faint light flashed in Jia Yan's eyes, and then he used all his strength to direct the blue defense to block the top of his head to the maximum extent. This move is extremely dangerous, because using this defense method, the defense of the rest of the parts will be greatly reduced. If the opponent knows this and directly abandons the original attack part and attacks the rest of Jia Yan, then Jia Yan will be in danger. Fortunately, Xingu, who saw Jia Yan's defense method for the first time, could not understand this. He thought that as long as his attack landed on Jia Yan's body, the battle would be over. Puff. When the two came into contact, a bright light shone out on the spot. Although Jia Yan's body was much larger than the other party, the one with the brighter light was Xingu. At this moment, a bright yellow light also emerged from Jia Yan's body, but compared with the brightness of the other party, it was no longer on the same level. The yellow light of the other party exceeded all the strong men Jia Yan had seen, and the energy was in terms of density, it is also higher than many powerful people he has seen. Of course, the opponent is the fifth among the top 10 powerful people, and can even be said to be the strongest existence Jia Yan has ever seen. Jia Yan felt a cracking feeling on the top of his head, something ominous. This guy is too strong. He is definitely the most powerful of all the beings I have ever seen. Will I lose to him? After all, if you don't even have the ability to resist, losing is normal, right? Jia Yan saw a flash of struggle. He also wanted to escape, but the opponent's strength was really not at the same level as his. He couldn't think of any way he could escape. No, just when Jia Yan felt that he could not escape, a fragment of memory appeared in his mind. This Xingu is not the most powerful existence I have ever seen. I have seen existences that are even more powerful than it, and I don't even know how powerful it is. Jia Yan endured the pain of being attacked by the opponent on his head, and defended himself with azure. Resisting the opponent's attack, at this moment, he remembered the strongest man he had truly encountered. In the past, Jia Yan only regarded the existence of the strongest person as a memory error or a legendary story. But now that I think about it, isn't the ability used by the other party somewhat similar to the true path he is taking now? That being was the strong Zerg man that Jia Yan met in the gray-yellow star field. The sense of energy revealed in one hit was so terrifying that Jia Yan once hinted to himself that he would regard it as a dream. But now that I think about it, although the other party's energy is still infinitely stronger than the real energy, the feeling is somewhat similar. Xinguo's energy is nothing worth mentioning in front of the other party. From this point of view, his true power seems to have some huge loopholes compared to that Zerg strongman. Jia Yan's eyes were focused on this moment. Somewhat confused. Xingu hit Jia Yan on the head. Although the opponent's defense force was suddenly increased in some unknown way, he knew that as long as the stalemate continued, the opponent would definitely die. But at this moment, when he saw Jia Yan's eyes, there was a hint of terror. Because he was so close, he could see that a terrifying figure suddenly appeared in Jia Yan's compound eyes. The aura of this shadow was extremely terrifying. Not only is he stronger than him, even the strongest among their 10 strongest seems to be far weaker than the other. How is it possible? What on earth is this? Xingu was a little shocked and wanted to retreat. but it was already too late to retreat at this time. Boom! A force that swept across the world emerged directly through Jia Yan's body. The power was so terrifying that it could destroy the entire collection planet. Xin Wu was hit by the terrifying aura and was sent flying backwards. His eyes were filled with disbelief and he was even trembling. Even he behaved like this, let alone the remaining Pai Lan and the middle-level experts. They were looking at Jia Yan's body at this moment, and they were all in disbelief. The body spurted out streams of blood and flew away. Jia Yanji's state was a bit unstable, but there was a faint look of enlightenment in his eyes. And that unparalleled aura was directly exposed through his eyes. But he himself didn't seem to feel anything at all. He. A soft and crisp sound echoed continuously through the heaven and earth. This sound contained terrifying energy, and those who heard it could not help but fainted. Even the terrifying Xin Wu was flying backwards with blood spurting out from his body. There was deep fear in his eyes. And that row of blue was even worse. Large and small wounds appeared on his body in an instant. The energy of this body sound seemed to be aimed at the two extremely powerful people. Although it did not directly cause their bodies to explode, it was greatly eliminated. Their combat effectiveness. Huh? It turns out that you two little guys are using energy clones. Yes, only energy clones can be cultivated to this level. It's not bad, but in front of me, you'd better get out, otherwise even if I follow your energy, your true bodies will be destroyed in an instant. The voice said calmly. Xingyu and Palin looked at each other in horror. That's right, their current bodies are not actually their real bodies. Even the combat power of this body is not half as powerful as the real body. But this is not the case for Jia Yan. The sound coming from the body was really terrifying. They had no idea that the other party would be full of nonsense if he told them about killing their real body. Who is this? Xingyu and Palin would not think that the opponent is Jia Yan. Not only his demeanor, but also his life characteristics have changed too much. What's more important is his strength. Compared with Jia Yan's strength, this existence is simply powerful to the sky. A different situation. Keek, but don't be afraid. I won't come out again in the future. I will only protect this child once. If you want to attack him, you can do it in 5 days. I forgot to tell you that on his body, he hides the secret for you strong men to advance to the star level. If you can catch him, the star level is right in front of you. The voice resounded softly throughout the world. Although it was extremely terrifying, one could tell that her voice actually sounded like that of a woman. Is what you said true? Does Jia Yan have the secret for us to enter the stellar level? The star warrior retreated, but he was attracted by the female voice. They, the strong men, had been stuck at the top of the starry sky level for too long. He dreamed of being promoted. When he heard the words of the voice, he could not care about the other party. He was so powerful that he quickly stopped his body and asked solemnly. That's right, but I also said that you can only attack him after 5 days. You can even chase him to the ends of the earth, or you can inform the whole world. But if you don't abide by the agreement and attack him within 5 days, I will do it again. Oh, haha, I won't show up in 5 days, haha, haha, I hope you can let me see more of the interesting things about this kid, it's fun, it's so fun. As he spoke, the voice continued to float in the world, slowly became smaller, and finally disappeared into nothingness. Xianyu was shopping and arguing with the seller until very late. I'm sorry for the late update. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 596. Welcome to Renren Novel. Please remember the address of this website, read on your mobile phone so that you can read the latest chapter of the novel Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky at any time. With the disappearance of the female voice, Jia Yan, who was in a state of chaos, seemed to have returned to his original state. Haha, I finally used my power. It's really interesting to watch your little guy grow up. When he was conscious for the first moment, he seemed to hear this disembodied voice, but when he listened carefully, he couldn't hear anything. I seemed to have entered a state of enlightenment just now. A female voice was teaching me how to fight and the future changes of true power. Jia Yan's first thought was to recall the past with some emotion. Something realized in that magical state. But it all seemed to be just a dream. As soon as he recalled it, most of it turned into nothingness, and only some superficial parts were accepted by him and became his own knowledge. No, weren't we in a battle just now? Why did I lose consciousness during the battle? Just after Jia Yan was distracted for a moment, he quickly reacted. When he regained his sight, he saw everything in front of him, which made Jia Yan a little shocked and unable to react. His body is still floating in the sky. Although his injuries have not changed at all, the rest of the world has completely changed. Large areas of the city beneath their feet collapsed. It was unknown how many casualties there were, let alone the extent of the economic losses. Most of the reporters were killed or injured, and only a small part of them used equipment to mechanically record Jia Yan's every move. But they all looked at Jia Yan one by one, and they all lost the ability to speak because of fear. Although Jia Yan didn't know what happened before, they all saw with their own eyes that it was Jia Yan himself who used unparalleled power to instantly defeat Lord Xingqiu and Lord Palin. Is this really Jia Yan? What's going on? Did something just happen? But no matter what, now is my best chance to escape. Jia Yan looked at Xingqiu and Palin, who were still in the state of retreat. Regardless of their frightened looks, he focused on him and flew directly towards the area where the Onlabai spacecraft was docked. Go. What should we do, chase or not? Pai Lan over there said with some reluctance as he watched Jia Yan leave calmly. Didn't you listen to the words of that being just now? Chase me now. You can seek death if you want, but I won't accompany you. When Pai Lan thought about the power he felt before, his body trembled. God knows how such terrifying power could emerge from Jia Yan's body, and the opponent's strength is completely unfathomable to them. There is a supermaster behind Jia Yan, and even the power of the supermaster is beyond our imagination. However, if the other party said she would no longer protect Jia Yan after 5 days, then she will definitely abide by what she said. After 5 days, we will definitely to catch Jia Yan. The strong man said that he has the secret of our promotion in his hand. Even if I risk the strong man going back on his words, I will definitely try. Xin Wu looked at Jia Yan in his eyes, full of hope. Pai Lan also had a similar look, and it wasn't just them. If the other top 10 experts knew about Jia Yan's existence and knew that the inexplicably powerful expert asserted that Jia Yan held the secret of their promotion to the star level, they would also he must be desperate to catch Jia Yan. These strong men have been delayed in the starry sky level for too long. They all dream of reaching the star level. Only when they reach the star level can their strength truly become the top existence in these star fields. The truly strong are willing to pay the price of death in order to pursue strength. At this moment, Jia Yan was already flying higher and higher. His speed seemed to be much slower than before. However, thanks to the opponent's non-pursuit attitude, he did not encounter any pursuit on the way forward. The Angliba is launched. He felt his remote control and learned that the Oliba had completed its launch. Sure enough, when he arrived at the company's private port, the Angry Bay had already sprayed flames. There was even a port-export port of the company in the front area, which was opened directly to let the Angry Bay start. Departure number. Jia Yan felt that his vision was blurry again, but fortunately the Angliba was right in front of him, and he rushed into the open hatch with some precurity. There was only a huge impact sound, and Jia Yan's impact almost damaged the hatch. After that, Big Mosquito started the automatic flight system of the spacecraft in a daze, and then set the outer area of the deserted galaxy. With a loud bang, the Angliba started up, and the extremely high temperature of the auxiliary flame at its tail propelled the spacecraft forward. Close the port quickly. This guy is an enemy. Lord Xingguo ordered not to let him out. At this moment, news from the collection point's Port Star headquarters came from the private port communicator on one side. However, because it is a private port, communication requests go through many layers of processing, and it takes a long time to arrive here. Oh, close the port. The guards at the private port didn't know what was going on, but when they looked at the communication, it turned out to be from the headquarters of the Port Star. They quickly activated the emergency shutdown button. But when they closed the port, Jia Yan's Anglibi slowly sailed away and flew out into the starry sky. What kind of food does your company do? The efficiency is so low. Since you can't stop him, attack me. The staff over there are extremely dissatisfied with the efficiency of this company. You know, this is a person who may be responsible for the entire galaxy. A powerful enemy that causes devastating damage has a huge stake. It would be outrageous if the enemy could not be intercepted because of this company. Our company does not have interception weapons. The guard in charge of the company's port almost cried. How could these galaxy executives know that they have weapon systems in ordinary company ports? Not to mention the war of words here, and not to mention what contact the top 10 strong men have with the appearance of Jia Yan. Just that the Anglibi house slowly flew out, and at this moment, it finally got rid of the collection point completely. The scope of the starport. A spaceship was flying slowly in the starry sky, no different from other aircraft operating around it. No one knew that the being sitting inside would be the culprit of a big war in the Port Star. Amidst the prompts from the Anglibi's automatic system, Jia Yan's consciousness gradually became vague. His body and mind were about to fall into a mutated sleep long ago, but it has been delayed until now. It can be considered that his will is strong. I deliberately delayed not mutating, this is my limit, but I think that delaying like this is not a bad thing, and the process of mutating while fighting the strong at the same time is not a bad thing for me. Almost the entire process my body is injured due to the powerful impact of the battle, so the effect of my mutation may be far greater than I expected. Jia Yan gained too much from this battle. In such a pursuit and escape battle against the top 10 powerful men, although in essence, he was just one of the fleeing parties, don't forget that Jia Yan was only in the early stage of the starry sky. Just like the other strong players who were participating in the competition, he was in disbelief. If Jia Yan was one of those strong people, he would definitely be extremely shocked when faced with such a strong person whose strength suddenly increased. At this moment, Jia Yan has too much to absorb from the previous battle. New energy, new fighting methods, and methods of controlling true energy are all new to Jia Yan and need to be studied. Okay, relax, I will enter the mutated sleep and explore new strengths and fighting methods in the sleep. Jia Yan could hardly bear it. The mutated sleep in his body invaded him again and again. After looking at the radar of the Angliba, he found nothing unusual. He finally relaxed and everything in front of him slowly turned black. Turn black. Until his entire body and mind fell into an endless sleep, falling into the last and most important moment of mutation. At this moment, Jia Yan's body was constantly filled with condensate, seeping out directly and gradually melting the ground of the spacecraft. Even some strong metals were swallowed up. While it was mutating, some powerful battleships from the rear were slowly approaching. After detecting their approach, the automatic system of the Anglibaeus flashed directly in the opponent's sight. Disappeared into the visible universe. It turned out to be the space jump system of the Anlibaba. Under automatic operation, it sensed the appearance of the enemy and directly performed the space jump. You know, the Anlibaeus with all its functions unlocked can be said to be the pinnacle of technology in the Northern Star region. It is difficult for warships in the deserted star system to compete with ordinary spaceships. Asshole, that Jia Yan is really cunning. He actually owns a space-jumping spaceship. Quickly calculate the space data and estimate where he will appear. For such a small spaceship, the degree of space jumping will not be too exaggerated. He must still be able to jump. In our barren galaxy. In the command ship at the rear, an unparalleled monster commanded his subordinates to survey and map the space. They were busy here, but they couldn't imagine that in the escaping small spaceship, what was fighting them was not the big mosquito they imagined, but the automatic system of the spacecraft. If it weren't for the Anglibi, Jia Yan might have been able to mutate surrounded by a lot of warships and spaceships at this moment. In 5 days, even if he succeeded in mutating, surrounded by so many high-tech weapons, even if he succeeded, no matter how strong he becomes, it's hard to say whether he will win or lose. The starry road is long, a land of starry sky with not many people, and a shadow slowly shines out from the space. If the battleship operators in the center of the deserted galaxy see its shadow, they will definitely jump in anger, because it is exactly what they have seen before. The small spaceship carrying Jia Yan escaped in his hands. This place is no longer the center of the deserted galaxy. Although it is indeed true that the commanders of the battleship asserted that the Angliba did not jump too far, but this small distance is extremely terrifying in the universe. Tens of millions of kilometers, can this distance be considered a short distance? The warships at this moment couldn't even determine the direction of Jia Yan's jump. Naturally, they were unable to catch up for the time being. Jia Yan in the Anglibi did not notice all this. He was just immersed in the continued mutation. His strength is extremely powerful without any variation. Although he finally mobilized the mysterious power of the strong man in his body, for Jia Yan, he was able to directly defeat Pai Lan and other strong men in the previous situation. It was already an extremely terrifying miracle to break away and escape to the outside of the passage. You must know that his strength at that time was only mid-term in the starry sky at best. The biggest contribution to this is his blue defense, but it is not enough to have blue defense. After all, both Pai Lan and his subordinates seem to have the ability to destroy the blue defense. At that time, Jia Yan also relied on himself with his combat experience and combat IQ, he was able to accomplish that seemingly miraculous thing. You must know that the fighting strength of the top 10 strong men is not that simple. It is really a miracle that Jia Yan can escape from them. Of course all this is in the past. Whoosh! Inside the Angliba, a huge cocoon formed by condensation appeared in the middle. And this huge cocoon is faintly about to break through the extremely terrifying size, but it seems to be controlled by the human will of the people inside, so the size does not grow too much. Of course, the Anglibi at this moment can hardly accommodate him. This huge cocoon seemed to be breathing. In a little bit of transparent condensation, the shadow of a huge creature appeared in it. This behemoth was breathing slowly with its newborn organs. His aura was rising and falling, making people confused as to how powerful it was now. The angry bay, which worked silently, did not get much good results. The inside of its cockpit was made by the highly corrosive condensate, and a huge hole was made, and the metal on the surface was bit by bit. Fortunately, it did not damage too many internal delicate structures. Otherwise, it is unknown whether the spacecraft would explode in mid-air in the universe. At this moment, the starry sky is now a little more empty and deserted. It seems that the distance between this place and the prosperous place in the center of the galaxy has become further. At this time, it was already 4 days after Jia Yan's battle with the top 10 powerful men. The battle 4 days ago had swept across the entire galaxy in almost 4 days. The existence of an outsider actually challenged the news that the top 10 powerhouses, or even 2 of the top 10 powerhouses, were able to escape after a head-on battle was a major event in the entire desolate galaxy that could detonate all the media. At this moment, the only person on the entire network who is paying attention is this strong man, who was also the dark horse-like strong man who had hidden his identity in the collection conference before, Jia Yan. Where is he at this moment? Can he escape from the kill order jointly issued by several powerful men? No one knows the answer to this question. and Jia Yan's stable mutation at the moment cannot last much longer. Just behind his self-driving Alibaba, several warships of different types slowly appeared from the starry sky. They actually arrived here through space jumping. There are 5 battleships in total, and if these 5 battleships were seen by the people of the deserted galaxy, they would definitely be amazed. Because the appearance of these battleships is almost universally known in the entire starry sky. They are the vehicles of 5 of the top 10 powerful men. Okay, this survey and mapping has used too many of our resources. Once we find the guy's location, we will release the space oscillator instantly to ensure that he will not escape again. In a battleship, a mysterious tall being spoke calmly with a voice that could shake the world. I must make that little beast look good this time. What I showed up last time was just an energy clone. Let's see how he escapes from me this time. In another battleship, a man seemed to be hidden in the space. The existence also made a faint sound. He is actually the 10th among the top 10 powerful men who have pursued Jia Yan, and he is also the being Pai Lan who has been pursuing Jia Yan for the longest time. But at this moment, Pai Yan's body seems different from the one he saw last time. Is so exposed, but now it is even more hidden. It seems that strength follows, and the former Pai Lan is not the same person. Pai Lan, Xin Wu, you have to make sure that the great being who attacked you before has said that he will not take action, right? If he takes action, we will be dead. You know, the altar notes that a few of them, this time we did not dare to take action because of the threat of this strong man, but we believe that you too have invaded your family and your life. An existence said through the communication system with some uncertainty. Come on, aren't you just for your own promotion? It's just nonsense to say you believe in us. Your lifespan is about to end, right? If you don't get promoted, you will die. That's why you come to give us a try. Don't think I don't know. Furthermore, that strong person is extremely powerful. If she wants our lives, it will be very simple. I suspect, she may reach a level exceeding the great star level, because I think her energy passes through the endless space of the universe. What was transmitted to Jia Yan's body, although I don't know what kind of existence she is, the words spoken by this existence cannot be changed. After 5 days of speaking, it is impossible for Ji Shi to take action against us. Okay, I believe you too. Now that the 5-day period is coming, let's hurry up and follow him, Pai Lan. Don't worry about the space oscillator then. Use it directly so that Jia Yan can't continue to escape through space. Okay, it doesn't matter to you, I know it. As long as we win this time, we will be able to get the means to be promoted to the star level. In order to realize my original wish, I am willing to take even a little risk, and I will never do this again. A space oscillator. After a conversation between several beings in the starry sky, the several warships they were on launched a pursuit at the highest speed towards the Anglibi not far away. Reborn as an interstellar giant Mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 597. Click here to read on mobile phone. In the vast universe, even with a speed of thousands of miles per day, it is just a snail's pace. In this almost endless space, the distance of 1,000 miles is almost the same as no movement. Read all the latest chapters of Pinchu. Spacecraft, on the other hand, are extremely fast. In comparison, traveling thousands of miles per day is just a joke. In the deep space, a line of aircraft was chasing extremely fast. In front of it is an ordinary spaceship that doesn't look very impressive. Its flying speed can be described as lightning, and it travels across endless distances. And the speed is stable without much error. Following behind were 5 warships with different appearances. Their appearance ranged from big to small, but there was not much difference in speed. Compared with the ordinary spaceship escaping in front, these 5 warships have a ferocious appearance. They all look like treasure-level warships made of expensive materials. At least compared to the ordinary spaceship escaping in front, their appearance looks quite powerful. But what is strange is that the 5 warships, which seem to be much more technologically advanced, do not have much advantage in this pursuit and escape battle. I saw the spaceship in front of me escaping quickly in pursuit. Although the warship in the rear continued to launch energy weapon attacks, there was no pause at all. It seemed that the operator was a pilot with an excellent mentality, operating the spacecraft to avoid attack after attack. The 5 warships in the rear also seemed to be afraid of directly destroying each other. The attack parts were often not the core parts of the spacecraft in front, so that the spacecraft could avoid the attack by just a hair. Who is the pilot of this battleship? Is it possible that there is a master helping Jia Yan? This level of driving ability can only be achieved by top masters. The battleship behind made a sound that shook the sky. The sound was a bit alarming. The spaceship in front escaped. Although they wanted to attack the opponent's core, it was still possible to destroy the spacecraft directly, but they came with a purpose. Destroying the spacecraft was not their original intention. Don't be stupid. The opponent is not a real person, but the brain of this spaceship. I don't know where Jia Yan got this spaceship. He actually has such a level of intelligence. Is it the same as the Great One who used the power before? Does it matter if it exists? On another battleship, a powerful being used a slightly mocking voice to refute the being who spoke in front of him. The starry sky-level pinnacles of the remaining battleships all agreed with the words of this cosmic powerhouse. I also think this is the operation of the intelligent brain. Its movements are a bit stiff. Although it can feel its advanced level, it cannot conceal its mechanization. I just don't know if this has something to do with that great existence. If Jia Yan, an outsider, is really involved with a certain great being, and even our lives are not enough to kill him. Xingguo's voice appeared among several voices. His voice was calm as always. After he said these words, the 10 powerful fellows who were driving the battleship together fell into a strange silence. Anyway, that being promised you that he would not take action within 5 days, and it is already 5 days later. At this point, even if you don't do anything, I will capture Jia Yan alone. I won't let go of the opportunity to advance. A battleship, the row of blue voices also came out, and then the single-man battleship he was driving suddenly arrived in front of everyone. As if to show his determination, he drove the battleship and launched a dazzling light weapon attack at the spaceship in front. And Pai Ian's equal speech to these beings also shows their identities, the other 10 powerful men who are equal to or even stronger than Pai Lan. Each of these strong men were invited by Xingguo and Palin. That's right. Now that I'm here, I can't give up. The worst I can do is not hurt Jia Yan's life. Another unfamiliar loud voice sounded from behind. We are just worried in our hearts. Now that we are here, we can't let you be more beautiful than before. We must share this information about Jia Yan that may help us get promoted. The powerful men on the remaining battleships did not give in at all to the presence of the 2 Pai Lan in front. Instead, they launched a fierce siege together. The unarmed spaceship in front was much smaller than their 500 or 600-meter class warships. Under the attack of 5 warships, it was like a small boat in the wind and waves, constantly swaying in the light of various attacks, but it did not sink. Situation. But in the spaceship, perhaps what several strong men did not expect was that the only passenger there did not have any reaction to their 5 battleships. It can even be said that he did not even have the slightest concern about the crisis at this moment. Aware. At this moment, Jia Yan is still in the process of mutation. His body was wrapped in circles of condensation, and some faint aroma came from the condensation. This aroma is actually not a good thing, but a waste product that Jia Yan mutated and excreted from the body. The body discharges unorganized waste matter. This kind of thing has been experienced by Jia Yan before when he first experienced the mutation, but now he has experienced this feeling again. The radiation energy of the Chaos Stone is constantly destroying its body. Even if it is absorbed and absorbed, there is still extremely terrifying energy flowing continuously. They combine with various energies of the body, and have a faint destructive nature, which makes Jia Yan's newly generated energy contain such strange energy. At this moment, in Jia Yan's body, a true power of a strong man is constantly being transmitted. It transmits energy evenly to every part through the newly generated body. Jia Yan has woken up now. When his brain wave power wakes up, the brain's operation will start again. At this moment, he has no ability to feel the external situation, so he is still constantly checking his new body. Okay, the size of the body doesn't seem to have increased much. I thought before that if it was too big, it would affect many things. Now it is about 50 meters from head to tail. It meets my requirements. Jia Yan felt his body, and the rough shape of the mutation had been determined. When he saw that his body was only about 50 meters in size, he was immediately satisfied. It is not impossible that there is a star-level peak of more than 50 meters, and the main evolutionary direction of his body is to become a flying creature. Having a body that is too big will be a drag, so Jia Yan regards the number of more than 50 meters. It's quite satisfying. Well, the body is stronger than I imagined. Some of those blue substances actually penetrated directly into the exoskeleton and muscles. This was a huge surprise to me, and I didn't know that the body was originally solid. Plus these azure substances hidden in it, the defense power will be greatly increased. Jia Yan felt the defense power of his body, and a feeling of surprise in his heart was revealed. But thinking about the reason for their appearance, Jia Yan also shook his head with a wry smile. Each of his mutations was greatly affected by the battle before the mutation. Often, the failure there would become the direction of the mutation. But now the focus of the body is on defense, which shows that Jia Yan's previous battles were too severe a test for defense, so this time the focus of the mutation is on defense. I don't know what happened at the last moment of the previous battle. Xingyu and Palin seemed to be afraid of something. But even though Xingyu and Palin left strangely, I have a vague feeling that even if they don't leave voluntarily, I can still find a way to break out of the siege. Although this is just a feeling, it is very strong, because I definitely have that confidence. Jia Yan analyzed it slowly in his mind. But as long as this mutation is completed, I don't have to be afraid of them anymore. I can feel that after this mutation, my body's strength will definitely advance rapidly. After all, my strength was able to compete with the two before. I am one of the top 10 strong men. If I successfully mutate, my strength will be unimaginable to me. If they dare to pursue me again, I will be able to impress them. Jia Yan was thinking lightly, but he didn't know that the fierce alarm sound of the spacecraft was constantly sounding at this moment. The Angriba is a spacecraft that, a highly skilled pilot, cares about very much. You can see a little bit of its power just by looking at the current automatic operating system. If Jia Yan hadn't been able to see the scenery at this moment, he would have been shocked by the intelligence of this spacecraft after it was completely liberated. Half a day at most, Jia Yan thought about his mutated steps. Now that he understood the speed of his body's changes, he was extremely satisfied with the speed of his changes. Since the Earth's metal crisis, my mutation speed has not been very fast every time, but this time it only takes 5 days. Did I change anything while mutating and fighting at the same time? This is worth thinking about in the future. However, it has become so powerful, and there probably won't be many opportunities to mutate again in the future, right? If it can still mutate, it will be a sky, giant beast that it has been blessed with for a long time. Thinking of the dream that was just around the corner, Jia Yan felt impatient, but he also knew that his promotion to the starry sky level this time had already cost him a lot of energy. If he wanted to go further, he didn't know what a huge opportunity it would take. Reads. Even if I don't go further, as long as I complete this mutation, I will probably be invincible to the immortal arms. Even if they use high-tech weapons, they may not be able to hurt me. Unfortunately, I can't return to the immortal arms yet. What I don't know is that my next stop is also the so-called Northern Star Territory. Is there a way for me to return to Earth? While Jia Yan was thinking, his body was gradually taking shape. A large gap appeared in the operation room of the Anglibaeus. A huge cocoon destroyed more than half of the entire operation room, and a piece of metal on the ground was also swallowed up by it. Fortunately, its main core parts were not too damaged, and after being completely liberated, it could even perform simple self-repair. Alarms continued to resound throughout the entire operation room, and the sounds continuously added a sense of urgency to the narrow space. When it was detected that no one was in the operating seat, the spacecraft's intelligent operating system continuously issued alarms, and then adjusted itself to exert its incredible operating capabilities to deal with several warships from the outside world. If the top 10 strong men outside knew that they were facing an intelligent program in pursuit of the big Mosquito, I don't know what their expressions would be. You know, even if ordinary intelligent programs can achieve this kind of to be flexible, an intelligent life must be watching from the side and giving general direction instructions. However, this intelligent program even omits this point, which shows how terrifying it is. No. If we don't have the idea of destroying him, it's impossible to force him to stop. A warship, the sound of platooning came out. Yes, let's take a risk and destroy his power device. He saw that we didn't dare to destroy him, so he used some methods to escape our attack. This time, aim at his vitals and see how he escapes. Xingguo's voice also sounded. Both of them had some hatred for Jia Yan. The Chaos Stone essence used by Pai Lan for promotion was not even left after Jia Yan sucked it. He didn't rise to the level of reporting to him and asking him to help him get revenge, but Xingguo didn't say he wouldn't help the juniors get revenge. The remaining few beings were a little hesitant. After all, that incomparably powerful and great existence is, to them, a mountain weighing on their heads. Pai Lan, we are on our own, we are a group of cowardly people. As a member of the powerful Tianlong clan, Xingguo also had a hot temper. At this moment, he launched the most dangerous attack on the Anglibai number that Jia Yan was riding on. The same is true for the blue row at the rear. Attacks and bombings one after another suddenly targeted the vital parts of the Anglibai. And the Anglibai suddenly became crisis-ridden. The vital signs inside the ship have been detected. Based on the judgment of the situation, the ship needs to rescue the passengers to the maximum extent, start the space jump program, and count down to 10 seconds. At this moment, the Onlababa was able to determine the critical situation of the spacecraft. Under normal circumstances, the spacecraft might not put up much resistance. However, at this moment, it detected that there was a living body in the spacecraft, and launched a protection mission. This lifer goes to the rescue reads. He even gained the ability to activate space jumps. You must know that this ability can only be activated under human operation. 10, 9, 8, 7. When the Onlabai activated its space jumping technology, the outside world could see that its figure fell directly into chaos, and even a fatal attack directed at it was directly transmitted through, as if shot into a shadow. No, this spaceship is about to start a space jump. Pai Lan, use the space oscillator quickly. Xingguo, the warship chasing behind, saw the Onlabaeus in front showing signs of falling into another dimension, and quickly shouted out. Already prepared. Space oscillator, turn on. His voice came to the battleship on which Pai Lan was riding. As the sound rang out, circles of concussive force spread out from the battleship that Pai Lan was riding on. This wave dispersion force was extremely strange, not only affecting ordinary space, but also affecting folded space. And the Anglibai, which was in a semi-disappeared state, was in a trance for a while. Afterwards, it was as if the realm was shattered, the entire space was shattered, and the entire spaceship reappeared in ordinary space as if its vitality had been severely damaged. Haha, I caught you. Pai Lan on one side had already calculated the time for the Anglebi to appear. At this moment, he arrived at the spaceship that had instantly lost its ability to evade. He drove the huge battleship directly to the Anglebi, and then put his own clamping mechanical arm stretched out to capture the entire Mosquito. Haha, Xingguo, Palin, we are here to help you, three communication voices sounded from behind, but this sound made Palin and Xingguo in front a little depressed. They were about to catch Jia Yan with their efforts. And the great strong man did not seem to appear. Now these guys jumped out and they really regretted inviting these guys. But there is no way at the moment. What they see must be shared. Naturally, the top 10 powerhouses have their own rules. Several battleships approached the location of the Anglebi. A rigid mechanical arm also grabbed half of the body of the Anglebi. If you want to escape, you can only tear the body apart. Seeing this decisive scene, the strong men in several battleships exhaled long breaths, and a big stone fell to the ground. The great strong man did not appear, and Jia Yan did not escape. As long as the ship that was unexpectedly able to escape was controlled, Jia Yan could still turn over when several strong men were deployed. Heaven is gone? You must know that the powerful men who took action against Jia Yan before, their bodies were just energy clones, and they used technological means, which could only carry less than half of the energy of their real bodies. But now, not only have their numbers increased, but their personnel's strength has also become much stronger than normal. In this way, can Jia Yan escape in the Mang Mang universe? Simply impossible. Haha, Jia Yan, come out. In order to catch you, we took the risk of offending that great being and dispatched 5 of the top 10 strong men. Now it seems that that great being was just random. I'm just observing you, haha, without using the power of this powerful existence. Do you still want to escape? Come out. After Pai Lan operated the warship to capture the Anglebi, he transmitted his unbridled brainwave power voice to the entire space. The brainwave power of this voice reminded him of the body he had hunted Jia Yan before. It was so powerful and terrifying it's far more than just a section, even the space is shaking. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 598. Welcome to Renren Novel. Please remember the address of this website, read on your mobile phone so that you can read the latest chapter of the novel Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky at any time. That's right, in 10 minutes at most, my body will be roughly in shape, and I now have some ability to sense my surroundings. In the Anglebi ship, Jia Yan was lightly surprised by the progress of his mutation. The previous mutations were always ups and downs, and the mutation process was extremely painful. Although the mutation was equally thrilling before this time, the subsequent mutation process was not. Too much pain is also an invisible reward for Jia Yan. His body gradually solidified, and the condensation in his body expanded again and again, turning into new bodies. After that, these bodies continued to strengthen, and through previous combat experience, the body became unique in the universe. Direction of evolution. This is a miracle in the history of evolution. Okay, my general sense organs have recovered. I heard some sounds from the outside world, but I guess it was just the flight of the high seas. I was flying. Jia Yan wanted to test his new perceptual abilities. Huh? How is that possible? Just as he activated his hearing organ, there was a shock in his brain. It turned out that in the outside world, shouts and curses were transmitted from the outside world, making the mosquito involuntarily feel the powerful momentum and terrifying anger. This sound was not unfamiliar to Jia Yan. It was the last sound he heard before he almost fell into coma, the sound of rowing blue. How is it possible that the ninth among these 10 powerful men can still hear his voice now? Could it be that I was caught by them? Impossible. I clearly activated the Anglibi, and I was caught. If it were, it would be impossible to be on the Anglibi now. Jia Yan looked at his surroundings anxiously. As a strong man, he instantly judged Pai Ian's combat effectiveness. His current strength was faintly doubled compared to his strength in the port. More than enough. Humph, even if my body has not completely mutated, it is no longer at the mercy of others like before. On Jia Yan's body in a big cocoon, a pair of immature compound eyes emitted some fierce light. But their number seems to be a lot. Can I defeat them? In Jia Yan's silent words, a faint smell of war smoke slowly rose from his body. He knows that the current situation is not the time to think so much. At this moment, the Mosquito has some experience in grasping the battle situation. The previous battle mode is no longer a prisoner's way of thinking for him. He knows, sometimes you run away when you can. If you really can't escape from the battle, you can only fight. Presumably those surrounding auras are the remaining 10 strong men, right? But why are there only 5 auras? Regardless, I should be happy that the number of enemies has decreased. Jia Yan looked at the situation outside. After that, some actions were taken directly. His body moved slowly. Puff 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 puff. The darkness in front of him suddenly turned into bright light, and the huge cocoon was gently torn open by his new front feet. Hiss. Finally, the big mosquito tore violently, and a huge gap appeared in the entire cocoon. His body lightly stepped out towards the outside world. Jia Yan, why don't you come out? Do you want to be like that cowering turtle? You are a strong man who is not much different from us. Doing such a thing is simply a disgrace to the strong. Pai Ian's voice became louder and louder, as if Jia Yan refused to go out and he was about to rush in. As he wanted to learn about the existence of the so-called promotion method from Jia Yan, Pai Lan did not want to kill Jia Yan directly. Otherwise, if the mechanical arm exerted force, the Anlibai would be shattered to pieces. Jia Yan looked at the outside world. In his somewhat blurry figure, a pair of newborn compound eyes were dripping with condensation. If anyone sees what Jia Yan looks like now, they will definitely be surprised. You must know that the body of the big mosquito has reached a terrifying 50 meters at this moment. This huge existence, in the small space of the Anglibi, directly occupying about half of the space, plus the huge cocoon, a large part of the space at this moment is occupied by the remaining matter of his body. A group of 5 powerful men from the outside world, driving 5 warships, directly surrounded the Anglibi. If it were an ordinary enemy, they would have used all their firepower to blast the Anlibaba into pieces. Of course, the strong men inside might still be alive, but it is unknown whether they can survive in the face of the battleship's killing. At this moment, these strong men looked at the silent chanting of Angli, and they all looked down on the so-called Jia Yan inside. As someone close to them, Jia Yan had already proven himself in the previous battles. He was so powerful, but he actually showed such a timid side at this moment, which made these 5 powerful men feel disdain for Jia Yan. Humph, why doesn't Jia Yan come out? Because we don't want to kill him. Pai Lan, you blast his broken spaceship to see if he can come out, Xin Wu said directly after Pai Lan. I know what to do, you don't need to order me. Pai Lan in front seems to be very disgusted with the orders of other strong men. He is considered weak among this group of strong men, because he is only ranked 9th among the top 10 strong men. Among the strong men coming at this moment, he the lowest ranking, and among the top 5 experts, in addition to Pai Lan, there is also a strong person named Su Chong, ranked 3rd, the other 2 are 6th and 7th respectively, and the 9th ranked Blue, his status is not high here. Pai Lan, this is not the time for you to be angry. Jia Yan, please don't cause any trouble inside. Just do as you please. The powerful being who had made a sound before spoke calmly. Hearing his voice, Pai Lan was startled. Although he was unwilling to do so, he still operated the battleship, and the mechanical arm instantly used its strength. Cack, squeak. Inside the spacecraft, a burst of overwhelmed sounds could be heard from the hull. At this moment, Jia Yan has already been waiting in the spacecraft. During this period, he is not only waiting for the body that has just come out of the outside world to undergo some integration and become more powerful, but also for the body in the spacecraft. Check the record system and learn about the past events. It turns out that the intelligence system of the Anglibi is so powerful, it can be said to have saved my life. Jia Yan knew that the Anglibi was dealing with these strong men alone, and it was only now that he could not be restrained by protecting him, and he suddenly somewhat grateful. Giggle. A series of sounds were heard in his body, and the exoskeleton, which was still extremely immature just now, quickly turned into a dark color. This huge 50-meter monster finally took on its true form and appeared in the world. He is a monster over 50 meters tall. At this moment, his body is dark with a hint of blue, which makes the color of his body have a faint sense of depth, and even an inexplicable, mysterious. And the right front foot that was lost in the previous battle has long since returned to its original shape, and is more powerful and sharper than before. This is a normal thing. In fact, almost all parts of his body have been reassembled at this moment. Every part has been reborn and has little to do with the previous one. The only thing they have in common is that they are equally powerful, or even several times more powerful. Humph. Jia Yan, you shy little turtle doesn't dare to show up, and you want me to do it myself? Then you must die. The gripping strength of the external mechanical arms has to be even more fierce, as if they are going to make you stand tall and scream, and directly break into pieces. And in the Angli How, a gentle laughter suddenly appeared. He he he. When this sound first appeared, it was only faint, but after a while, it gradually became stronger. Within a few seconds, the sound reached a level that shook the heavens and the earth. Ha ha, are you really Pai Lan? Jia Yan's voice was transmitted through the universe. Through his previous observation of his brain, he naturally knew that the opponent's strength was no longer the same as before. It even showed in the opponent's previous roar that the person who captured Jia Yan before was just a clone of him. Not just him, but Xingyu as well. Jia Yan? Have you shown up, you little tortoise? Get out of here. When Pai Lan from the outside heard the sound of the big mosquito, he suddenly shouted with a sparkle in his eyes. Okay, since 5 of the top 10 powerful men have come to see me, if I don't show up, won't I be denying you face? I'll come out right away, Jia Yan said calmly in Anglibi's name, and then some in the distorted Anglibi. The hatch slowly opened. There was nothing he could do if he didn't show up. At this moment, the Angliba could no longer hold on. Jia Yan didn't want Kama to yell at him in fright and anger, wondering how her beloved Angliba was destroyed. Of course, the bigger reason for his appearance is that there is no other way but to appear at this moment. Even I don't know my current strength. Although I am at the stage where my mutation has just been completed, the unfathomable feeling of strength is simply incredible to me. Another important reason why he dared to show up directly was that after the mutation, he might be able to be sieged by the 5 powerful men without fear. Click, click, click. In the Anglibi, which had some air leakage behind it, the gas ejected caused a slight sound in the surrounding space. When Jia Yan appeared and the hatch was closed, the sound disappeared directly. Hello. The big mosquito's head upright body slowly appeared in the starry sky. At this moment, the 5 powerful men were all dumbfounded. They felt as if they were distracted by the existence in front of them. Is this Jia Yan? The gap with the data is too big. This terrifying monster has a pair of beautiful big wings. The main color of his body is indeed dark, but it is completely different from the black color in the data. The dark color is completely incompatible with the big body at this moment. Compared to mosquitoes, his black color now is a kind of black with a hint of blue, and it has a terrifying sense of overflowing energy. It is not only beautiful, but also mysterious. More importantly, the opponent's appearance is not much different from Jia Yan, but the only difference between him and the previous Jia Yan is his size. At this moment, the big mosquito actually reached a terrifying length of 50 meters in one breath. You must know that the previous giant mosquito, although considered huge, was only the standard of the general starry sky level. Now it has exploded from 30 meters to 50 meters. You must know that this is not a simple enlargement. The meaning of danger is countless times more terrifying than what was shown in the previous information. What's going on, Palin, Xingguo? Have you tampered with the data you gave? Isn't Jia Yan a strong person in the midterm of Starry Sky? How did he suddenly transform into a high-level strong person? At this moment, the terrifying voice roared in anger in the communicator. For these strong men, the most important thing is not combat power, but the perception of threatening things. The pressure Jia Yan puts on them at this moment, it is extremely huge, and it is clearly a terrifying existence that has reached the high level of the Starry Sky stage. That's right, you said that Jia Yan is a being with the most advanced stars in the sky. I just came here to take a look, but he has actually reached the high level of the stars. Although he has not reached our level, but as you said, he just shows the midterm power will be able to compete with your clones. If you show high-level power now, even if you can't fight against the 5 of us, you might be able to help you before you die. You actually let us come and take this risk. The other 2 top 10 experts were also furious. What's going on? We really don't know what's going on with Jia Yan's change. He was clearly only 30 meters tall before, and his strength was not at this level at all. The row of blues were at this moment. Some were also stunned. You guys, stop pretending. Even if you know that he is a Starry Sky warrior as powerful as us, will you give up this promotion opportunity? Even if a powerful man like the boss masters the secret of promotion, you must not maybe let it go? Haha, you can see for yourself whether you want to fight or not. Xingguo, must fight. I don't believe it. The guy who couldn't even escape a blow from my clone before can now suddenly fight against my real body. Xingguo's aura began to rise gradually. The battleship he was driving also slowly approached Jia Yan, who was standing in the starry sky. Jia Yan, I am really interested in and admire you very much. I don't want to tell you any secrets. You just need to tell us the secrets you have mastered to advance to the star level, and then go to our heavenly dragon clan as a guest for a while. Then after 100 or 200 years, we will naturally let you go. Otherwise, don't blame us for being ruthless. Xingguo's voice sounded a little strange to Jia Yan. What does it mean to tell them the secret of being promoted to star level? Why didn't he know that he had mastered the secret? If he really knew the secret, why would he kill? Just find a place to wait for promotion. What did you say? I don't understand the meaning, Jia Yan just responded coldly. He knew that the other party had some issues with him, so these words spoken at this moment might just be some verbal threats to him to destroy his fighting spirit. That's right, Jia Yan, what you did on the port star of my collection point has greatly damaged the prestige of our top 10 powerhouses. If you don't want to come with us at this time, then you really can't. Let's meet in battle. Another warship slowly approached, and there was a voice that Jia Yan had never heard. Moreover, the sense of energy contained in this voice was an extremely terrifying shock to Jia Yan. It could be said that it was the only one he had ever seen in his life, and he might even be more powerful than Xin Wu. Jia Yan, you'd better submit honestly and compete with the 5 of us. Even if you may have some relationship with the sacred powerhouse, you won't be able to escape unscathed. Be obedient and stay with us for 100 or 200 years in exchange for this period of time. Isn't it a good thing that everyone is safe and harmonious? I think the people of the entire desolate galaxy will be grateful for your peaceful act. Wouldn't it be better not to fight the entire galaxy? Jia Yan, don't be stubborn. The two strong men on the other side also made their voices heard. Seeing that Jia Yan's strength seemed to be beyond imagination, these beings wanted to resolve the situation without fighting. Haha, 100 or 200 years. What you say is nice. Jia Yan looked at the battleships surrounding him from all directions. His smile was faintly trembling in the world. His brainwave power had long evolved into true energy. Now after mutation, these true powers he mastered exploded more intuitively and became a terrifying energy, even because when Jia Yan mutated, he had an understanding of the huge energy used by the Zerg strongmen, and he had a more terrifying change. Even such a change could not be understood by Jia Yan himself. He only knew that it was not a bad thing. Not much else to say. It's impossible for me to leave with you. If you want to fight, then. Jia Yan looked at the 5 battleships surrounded on one side, and a fighting spirit that shook the world boiled in his heart. Fight! Boom boom boom. His body stood proudly in the universe, but he suddenly rushed towards the battleship where Pai Lan was, rushing away like lightning. Fight! 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 His heart was filled with this kind of fighting spirit. He had just been promoted and felt the violent energy of his body. He even had the illusion that he could tear the entire universe apart. Although he also knew that this illusion was exaggerated, but at this time he, launched an attack on the 5 strongest men in the deserted galaxy in front of them. Those who had not successfully mutated before were able to survive the opponent's attacks. Now that the mutation was completed, even if they were not in their strongest state, he wanted to know whether these strongest people in the deserted galaxies could block the ones that had just been mutated. Own. Jia Yan's self-confidence is completely through the roof. This bastard. How dare you make the first move? Death. This kid must die. He actually attacked 10 of us strong men and fought 5 of us at the same time. He is simply looking down on us. It is simply unacceptable. Kill him. Very good, Jia Yan, right? You succeeded in irritating us, now we want to make you look good. At this moment, not only Pai Lan and Xin Wu, but also several other powerful men who enjoyed godlike treatment in this galaxy suddenly became furious at Jia Yan for daring to make the first move. Among the strong, if there is a disagreement, there is only one word: fight. Fight, fight, fight. Thanks to the tiger who eats pigs brothers for the reward of 1000 starting coins. Long time no see, brother, you showed up, thank you. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 599. War. This is the ferocious thought in Jia Yan's heart now. He fired electricity from his body and rushed toward the row of blue battleships. At the same time, he stabbed the opponent's mechanical arm with his front foot fiercely. A dark light flashed in the starry sky, and the huge 5-meter diameter main body with extremely thick mechanical arms was cut off by Jia Yan with a stab, directly destroying it. From interruption to 2. How dare you? Bastard Pai Lan was riding in the battleship. Before he could withdraw his mechanical arm, he saw it cut off by Jia Yan with a single blow, and he couldn't help but feel a surge of anger in his heart. You must know that such a mechanical arm is an exquisite design in his battleship. Although the defense strength is not strong, it is of great help to Pai Lan under some special conditions. Now that it was cut off by Jia Yan, his heart, why doesn't the anger rise? You are looking for death, so you can't blame me. Your secret must be in your body. As long as I get your body, life or death doesn't matter. Then he thought of Jia Yan devouring and destroying the essence of the Chaos Stone that he had prepared for his promotion. Old and new hatred surged into his heart, and he grew evil. He ignored the argument of ensuring Jia Yan's life and suddenly opened the door. The battleship's fire control system. A bright ray of light, like the sacred giant spear that pierced the sky, struck Jia Yan head-on with lightning speed. This light is the attack weapon of Pai Lan, the main battleship of the top 10 strong men. It may not be very useful in dealing with large-scale group battles, but when used against strong men, it is an absolute killing weapon. Well done. Faced with this light attack, which was only 2 meters in diameter, but gave Jia Yan an extremely dangerous feeling, a ray of light suddenly shone in Jia Yan's eyes. He actually didn't dodge at all. It wasn't that Jia Yan had no time to dodge. In fact, he felt that he couldn't calculate how fast he burst out at the moment. But at this moment, he didn't want to dodge, he wanted to try. These strong men, how powerful are the weapons of war? The giant Mosquito's raised head flew straight up without dodging, hitting the light. Pai Lan, what are you doing? If we kill him, won't all our hard work be in vain? This is simply unreasonable. When the powerful men on the other side saw Pai Lan, they actually changed their previous attitude and attacked Jia Yan directly. The attack that endangered their lives suddenly made everyone furious. They were chasing Jia Yan because of Jia Yan's so-called secret. Although this might just be a joke made by the great and powerful man, it was also a huge temptation for them who were sitting in the trapped city. And Pai Lan, the initiator of this incident, actually went out of control and killed Jia Yan. This guy simply made all their previous hard work in vain. It's not certain whether this guy has any information about his promotion. I think his strength has increased a lot now. If we let him go and wait for him to become stronger and seek revenge from us, it will be difficult. I don't believe you haven't noticed that he seems to have some relationship with those sacred beings, Pai Lan said coldly to the other powerful men while controlling the fire control system to continue to emit energy. Hearing this, the other strong men suddenly fell silent. Deep down in their hearts, they had the urge to curse Pai Lan and Xin Wu. To know the momentum of a strong man, you can't tell it by recording videos. They had just seen Jia Yan's momentum with their own eyes, and then they discovered that Jia Yan's momentum was actually faintly related to them. The fearful sacred strong man looks somewhat similar. At this moment, Pai Lan said these words, which immediately made them very angry. When he invited them, Pai Lan didn't say similar words. This bastard didn't tell the truth until the situation was about to happen. However, since Jia Yan might actually be related to those terrifying beings, they immediately had no objection to Pai Yan's methods. Although they were cheated by him, they would find ways to take revenge in the future. Now they want to take Jia Yan's actions away. There are possible dangers nipped in the bud. The bastards Pai Lan and Xin Wu, these two guys are plotting against us. It's totally unreasonable. In the starry sky of the universe, there is a steady stream of light, constantly spraying energy forward, but in front of this energy, there is indeed a terrifying existence, which is not afraid of this energy, and directly hits the energy. In the dark space, there are constantly light clusters radiating out. They are energy particles, which are caused by Jia Yan's direct collision and scattering. No, this guy has become so powerful in just a few days. My battleship attack can't do anything to him. What kind of defense is this? A few seconds passed, and Pai Lan, who was operating the battleship, yelled in shock. What? Several strong men on the other side were also extremely surprised. They knew how ferocious the Palin battleship was. As one of the top 10 experts, none of them wanted to try out the power of Palin's artillery fire, but Jia Yan could actually resist. The remaining 4 battleships immediately moved. Since they were tricked into dealing with Jia Yan, they had no intention of getting out of the way. What's more, Jia Yan might actually have the secret method for promotion that they needed. Several warships moved sideways one by one and opened fire one after another. The big Mosquito was bathed in several battleship flames. At this moment, the faint blue color in his compound eyes was even more brilliant. There was a little smile in his heart. But now he doesn't have to hide the smile in his heart. He. A voice that shook the heaven and earth gently came out from the area covered by the attack light. The laughter was relatively quiet at first, but not long after, the sound became as loud as shaking the entire universe, and began to make a shocking noise. Ha 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 ha. Jia Yan couldn't help laughing like a roar. At this moment, he was bathed in the attack light, and a faint blue color emanated from his body, but he did not feel any difficulty. This is a bold test, an adventure to test your own strength after mutation. Obviously, Jia Yan passed the test. Through this active attack on the light, he confirmed his strength. Powerful. It's really too strong. Being bombarded by the exclusive battleship gunfire of one of the top 10 powerful men, Jia Yan's defense didn't even feel any strenuous at all. Ha 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 ha. From now on, I will never be weak again. There was a sense of liberation in his voice. In this strange starry sky, as an evolved beast, he lived a cautious life. In order to survive, he even did not hesitate to be a city lord. He did not hesitate to attend gathering meetings and be watched like a monkey. As a strong man, this should not have been endured by Jia Yan. But now, those past humiliations, which can be swept away like the wind, have passed. Jia Yan didn't expect that this mutation would be even more powerful than he expected. Top 10 strong men. When he laughed loudly, he suddenly found that there were a few more rays of light shooting on his body. I saw 5 warships in front of me firing out artillery fire attacks one by one. Jia Yan's body was able to block their warships' artillery fire just by relying on his own defense. This made several powerful men feel ashamed from the bottom of their hearts. A strong sense of uneasiness emerged. Jia Yan couldn't just bear the attack unilaterally. At this moment, a strange light flashed in his compound eyes. A blue light flashed through the universe. Although Jia Yan's body was no longer afraid of the opponent's attack, a series of artillery fires still blasted him at least 500 kilometers away. Although for today's big mosquitoes, 500 miles is only a blink of an eye, but after all, it is not far away. The other party saw that the big mosquito had escaped from the bombardment again. They were all horrified and reacted. Damn it, this Jia Yan's defense gave me a huge headache before. I didn't expect that after a few days, not only did he grow taller, but his defense power also increased to this point. But his body only has strong defense. Let's get off the battleship. Our warships are not powerful enough to attack him, so we still have to rely on ourselves. Although Pai Lan was ranked 9th among the top 10 strong men, he had some prestige among several strong men because of his outstanding mind. When he shouted, other strong men immediately responded. Outside the battleship that had lost its mechanical arm, the hatch moved, and a strange figure emerged directly from it. He is exactly what Pai Lan is today, but his body that disappears into space is even more invisible than before. Especially in the vacuum of the universe, it is almost impossible to see his figure. In several battleships on the other side, the hatches also opened quickly, and Xin Wu, who was not too big, and several other powerful monsters also filed out one by one. As soon as their figures appeared, there were sets of armed equipment worn on their bodies. As for Jia Yan, there weren't many surprises. To Jia Yan, these strong men were still beings that he could only look up to before. At this moment, their equipment, which Jia Yan had never seen before, was normal. By the way, Jia Yan was in such an emergency that he didn't even wear the armor that could enhance his combat power. Otherwise, his combat power might be even stronger. Die. Jia Yan's body passed through a distance of 500 kilometers and without a trace of fear, he crashed into Pai Lan, who was facing him. His body was almost invincible at the moment. The opponent didn't know how much Jia Yan's endurance and mutation had been enhanced. Jia Yan felt that it would be difficult for these guys to break through just Zhan Lan and Yu. It can be said that Jia Yan, facing a group of top 10 strong men, actually established from the beginning that he could not lose. If you tell the truth, the creatures in this desolate galaxy will probably lose their eyes. The strong men such as Pai Lan who came to us clearly did not think that Jia Yan's defense would be durable, especially Pai Lan. A few days ago, This strong man had used a mere energy clone to chase Jia Yan until he was almost trapped. In a desperate situation, of course it is impossible to believe that Jia Yan will suddenly be stronger than his real body at this moment. A confused figure in the starry sky streaked across the space as fast as lightning in the dark universe. If his body hadn't left a little bit of energy shadow in the vacuum, there would really be no trace at all. It can be described as a miraculous stunt. But when Jia Yan was directly in front of his body, the shadow actually disappeared into the visible universe in an instant. Jia Yan felt strangely absent-minded for a moment. And behind his body, the shadow of a creature quickly appeared, aimed at his heart between the wings, and struck down hard. It's really weird that he appeared from behind my quilt, Jia Yan was shocked. However, after his speed mutated, he was no longer the same person who had no backhand against Pai Yan's speed. At this moment, he instantly sensed the strange appearance of Pai Lan, and his body accelerated. Jia Yan only felt the power of his brain waves pushing him forward and flying out. The figure that appeared in the row of blue, a claw that turned into flames, fiercely grabbed the area where Jia Yan had stayed before. Avoided. His speed has actually become so much faster. Even my real body can avoid it. After Pai Lan struck, he noticed Jia Yan's avoidance and suddenly felt unbelievable. Be careful, he missed a hit, and Xin Wu on the other side shouted loudly, and at the same time, he grabbed his small body into the vacuum in front of Pai Lan. It turned out that Jia Yan's counterattack had arrived. Pai Lan saw a terrifying black shadow suddenly appear in the void star in front of him, and then stabbed at his head. This attack seems to have suppressed the entire world. The faint yellow light covering it represents that the owner of this attack has a sophisticated control over the true energy. Of course, more importantly, the owner of the attack, the total amount of true energy he possesses can be seen at a glance, exceeding Pai Lan by an unknown amount. How is it possible? Is this still the existence of the early starry sky that was chased to death by a clone of myself 5 days ago? At the moment of Pai Yan's panic, Jia Yan's front foot attack fell directly. However, in front of its line of attacking Pai Lan, there was already a small, but not to be ignored figure, flashing out. He stretched out his claws forward and collided hard with Jia Yan's thrusting right forefoot. Xingguo? It just so happens that you destroyed my front foot once before. Let's see if you can destroy it again this time. Jia Yan looked at the person who came to help and suddenly smiled coldly. What he shot out was the right front foot, which had been destroyed by Xingguo before. Now it collided with Xingguo again, and the situation was almost exactly the same as before. The only difference is that today's Jia Yan is more than a little stronger. It's almost like a makeover. The result this time is destined to be the same. You are destined to be no match for my iron claws. Xin Wu, who rushed to support Pai Lan over there, was extremely confident in his own claws. As a monster, even though he is not huge, his reputation is almost entirely based on his claws. His past indestructibility makes him extremely confident in his claws. Moreover, Jia Yan had already lost to his claws once before. Although he felt that the other party's front feet were unusually hard that time, it had only been a few days. Even if the other party's body had become huge, he did not believe that he had grown bigger. The front foot has also grown to the point where it can deal with his Xingguo. At this moment, both sides are extremely confident in themselves, and one blow will determine the winner in an instant. Whether Jia Yan can be humiliated before the first blood, or whether Xin Wu continues to be better, depends on the outcome of this collision. And they are in contact together. There is no sound in the universe, but at this moment, it seems that a huge sound can be felt and transmitted. Pai Lan, who was sandwiched between the two, was suddenly knocked away by the shockwave of the collision. There was a strong color of fear on his chain. You must know that the power of this blow was really strong. To the extent that it can kill him. In a fight between Xingguo and Jia Yan, neither side made much dodge. What surprised Jia Yan was that this Xingqiu was indeed his true form. Compared with his clone, his strength definitely had a huge bonus. And at this moment, although Xingqiu seemed to be using all his strength, he could barely block Jia Yan's blow. However, Jia Yan did not use his full strength, and he had other more powerful advantages. Don't forget, a big mosquito has more than 1 foot. When Xingqiu blocked Jia Yan's right front foot with some difficulty, Jia Yan's left front foot, shining with a faint blue color, seemed like a silent assassin, gently stabbing Xingqiu's abdomen. And just when Jia Yan was about to stab Xingqiu, another person with a powerful momentum that was not inferior to Xingqiu appeared in front of Jia Yan. He is a huge being that is twice as big as Jia Yan today. His body is 100 meters away, not much different from the row of blue. However, his strength is much greater than that of Pai Lan, and he even seems to be slightly stronger than Xingqiu. He looked at Jia Yan stabbing Xingqiu's left forefoot with a solemn look in his eyes, but then without any retreat, he used his human-like arm and a hammer-like weapon to hit the left forefoot. In the space of stars and flints, the two collided together. However, the result surprised Jia Yan. This attack was actually blocked by this being. Just when Jia Yan wanted to give the opponent a heavier blow, he noticed that 2 powerful auras near his body, although not as powerful as Xingqiu and Zhihui, but more powerful than Pai Lan, were attacking him. As expected of 5 of the top 10 strong men, when they join forces, even I can't defend them now. Jia Yan pulled away and let go of the confrontation between Xingqiu and the strong man holding the hammer. It's not that he really can't attack the opponent. But at this moment, Jia Yan has the slightest idea of honing his combat skills. Through this short electric and flint exchange, he already knew that even if he really couldn't deal with the attacks of the 5 powerful men sent out by his real body, he still had the most important magic weapon. That is the blue defense that has become more and more abnormal with the mutation. You know, before he was completely mutated, his azure defense could resist the attacks of the 2 powerful clones, Xingqiu and Palin. But now, after the mutation, his special defense has been strengthened. He didn't even know that he was now. What level of defense is it? As long as he is not someone who is ridiculously stronger than him, even if he loses, it is impossible to lose too miserably, because the advantage of azure defense is too great. Come on. Let the 5 of you be the first trial stone after I reach the peak of the starry sky period. It would be a good thing for one person to fight against the 5 powerful ones, ha 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 ha. No charge. Recently, some book friends are entangled in the charge for each chapter of this book. Let me explain one thing here. We authors do not have the power to set our own prices, at least Puja at Bulletin U's level does not have this power, and the price of each chapter of this book is not. The subscription fee is higher than other books because Baiyu has a lot of words in each chapter, 5,000 plus words. If you don't like a chapter with so many words, Baiyu can change it to 2,500 words per chapter, or 3,000 chapters per day. Updated 2 chapters. Book friends who have opinions on this can leave their comments in the book review area. Bulletin U will collect everyone's opinions and change them according to the situation. Was Who Chinese channel, Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky only represents the author Baiyu's views. If you find any content that violates national laws, please report it and we will delete it immediately. We are committed to providing a healthy and green reading platform. Actively cooperate with the Special Action to Combat Pornographic Information on the Internet. Please book friends to report it. Thank you everyone. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 600. Jia Yan laughed loudly and boldly. He seemed to have changed his calm attitude before and took the initiative to attack the starry sky area where the 5 powerful men stood proudly. Come, let's see if the combined strength of your so-called 5 powerful men can defeat me now. Jia Yan's mentality has always been to be cautious, but he has never lacked enthusiasm. At this moment, he doesn't know much about the strength of the 5 powerful people, but this does not prevent him from attacking the 5 powerful people with enthusiasm. This kid actually dares to attack the 5 of us alone. I don't even know how to write the word death. Please give me your life. Pai Lan saw that Jia Yan was charging towards the direction where the 5 of them were, and he immediately a flash of extremely angry flames blurred his mind, and he faced Jia Yan's attack head-on. His claws fell into a state of nothingness, seeming to completely disappear into the visible universe. This is Pai Yan's famous stunt, and it is also the biggest attack method that he relies on to become famous. Now that he uses it against Jia Yan, it at least proves that he regards Jia Yan as an equally realistic opponent. Puff. The moment the two came into contact, a terrifying shockwave was pumped out in all directions in the universe, and a bright battle ripple appeared in space. Originally, it was difficult for the universe to experience energy shocks due to fighting, but the real energy used by the two went beyond the scope of ordinary physical knowledge, causing shock waves to appear on the spot. Jia Yan, die. Just after Jia Yan blocked Pai Yan's blow, he felt a bit of fierce intent covering him from behind, and at the same time, a terrifying attack force shot out, surrounding his entire heart. Humph! Jia Yan snorted softly, and then his body bounced, moving a little space in an instant, avoiding the opponent's attack. The person coming from behind is Xingguo. At this moment, Xingguo's body has grown strangely. As a top-level being among the powerful Tianlongs, his body should not be so small in the first place. It's just that his body has grown bigger at this moment, almost visibly expanding to the naked eye, which is simply weird. I didn't expect that my body compressing cultivation method would be unblocked for you today. Xingguo's body swelled up like a balloon, and he let out a sharp shout. I would like to thank Mr. Xingguo for his kindness. Jia Yan was not that upright. While the opponent's body continued to grow, he attacked with a forefoot that flew forward like lightning, hoping to finish off Xingguo first. Of course, it is impossible for other strong men to make Jia Yan's idea come true. Just before his attack was about to hit Xingguo, the existence that was as huge as Pai Lan saved him with one blow. It seemed that his strength was also liberated at this moment, becoming more than a little stronger. Jia Yan, you violated the laws of our top 10 strong men. We are now sentencing you to 100 years in prison. Why don't you just accept the punishment? This made a strong man's strength explode. Attack Jia Yan's back directly. The 5 powerful men, whose strength was completely released for a moment, actually attacked Jia Yan at the same time. The despicable top 10 strong men, these are the strongest men in your desolate galaxy. I think they are just chickens and dogs. Since you want to join forces, then join forces and see what you can do to me, Jia Yan. The sparkle in Jia Yan's eyes was almost burning like never before. He ignored the knife-shaped weapons that the inexplicable strong man from behind attacked, and focused his gaze quietly on Pai Lan in front of him. Even if all the strength is released, Jia Yan can still find that among the strong men here, Pai Lan has the lowest strength. One of his 2 front legs entangled Xingguo's body, causing the other to fight the 100-meter strong man using a giant hammer. The remaining 2 midfoots were wrapped around Pai Yan's body with barbs. He only has the ability to assassinate his front feet, but don't underestimate the midfoot and other parts. After all, he has the body of an evolved beast. The mystery and murderous intent contained in it are beyond the imagination of ordinary strong people. What? The middle leg wants to entangle me? I'm dreaming. Pai Yan's body has just attacked Jia Yan. At this moment, he has not entered the faint subspace. There is not much that can be done to Jia Yan's middle foot. He just pressed his claws hard against Jia Yan. You must know that his body is more than twice as big as Jia Yan. Jia Yan's pair of front feet that shot at him were only about the same length as his body. But what he didn't expect was that Jia Yan's pair of midfoots were not as weak as he imagined. His claws fiercely pressed against one of his middle feet, and the other middle foot stabbed at the side of his body with lightning speed. Not good, Pai Lan was shocked. At this moment of life and death, he could be considered a seasoned expert. His body suddenly lit up, and his body actually moved 100 meters laterally in an instant. 100 meters is enough to dodge Jia Yan's blow. It turns out that although the barbs between the middle feet are not as sharp as the thorns on the front feet, there are rows of barbs on the surface. If it is allowed to pass through the body, it will feel like no less than cutting with a saw. At the same time, the rear attack that Jia Yan ignored also fell on his body. The strong man holding the knife-shaped weapon suddenly felt happy in his heart. They could all see that Jia Yan's experience against the enemy was not comparable to theirs. After all, Jia Yan had only lived for so long. As long as he reached out to these experienced and strong men, they could easily discover his immaturity. Are you careless? Under the siege of so many strong men, if you want to attack Pai Lan, you are simply seeking death. The monster holding the knife showed a mocking smile. At the same time, he hit Jia Yan on the back with all his strength. What shocked him was that the defense on Jia Yan's back was unexpectedly tough. His broadsword seemed to have met the hardest metal in the world. As soon as he struck it, he felt that the blade hit the motionless boulder, and a huge shock force came from it, which was almost unbearable for him. No, this guy is more powerful than expected. The monster was startled, but before he could think of anything else, a hind foot, already carrying a terrifying stream of light, used a row of barbs to strike. Severely saw the surface of his body. The monster holding a big sword screamed and flew out towards the rear. While doing this, Jia Yan was still fighting against the other 4 powerful men at the same time. It is unbelievable that one of only 50 giant monsters actually fought against 5 of the top 10 experts and achieved such terrible results. And at the moment when several powerful men were fighting, a spaceship flew tremblingly 1,000 kilometers away, and dumbfounded thoughts were constantly echoing inside. This spaceship is a mineral spacecraft that is out collecting minerals here. Because after the space jump, this place is not a very prosperous area, and there are a lot of unknown small interstellar materials here. This spacecraft is just an ordinary collection spacecraft. But this ordinary spaceship actually saw a battle between 10 powerful men at such a close distance. Look, isn't that Master Zhengguo? The strongest person in the Tianlong clan, who has always been arrogant, actually joined forces with a group of other strong people to jointly suppress another strong person. Who is the fighting entity? You are stupid. You only recognize the Zhengguo adults. Look, the other strong men you have joined forces with are all among the top 10 strong men. Why, who is it that actually allowed one of the top 10 strong men to do so? 5 of them are attacking together? Could it be that they are killing the number 1 Tengo-sama? No. That's not Tengo. If you read the recent news, you will know that it is Jia Yan. But wasn't he just an early Starry Sky player before? The news also said that there is information about him and he needs to be informed by the garrison. How is it possible that Jia Yan's strength is so terrifying? Can he survive the siege of 5 top 10 powerful men without falling behind? Anyway, this is an excellent material. Now we have it. As long as we record the video of the battle, we can buy as many media as we want at a big price. This is a battle at the level of the top 10 powerhouses, and it's still 5 top 10 experts besieging the Jia Yan is simply the biggest news. Please turn on the video and contact several major media at the same time. The creatures on the collection ship felt incredible about the battle in front of them. At the same time, they also had an idea about the incident they encountered, and that was to make a lot of money through this incident. Not long after, many media channels received the past connection from the operator of the spacecraft. The entire media world suddenly went crazy. Jia Yan has been appearing in the media since the Collection Point conference, and the news every time is more shocking. Especially before, he was chased by Master Palin and Master Zhengguo among the top 10 powerful men. After escaping, the media has been paying attention to Jia Yan's news every day for the past 2 days, but no one expected that such a touching voice would come from the collection spacecraft coming from a remote area. Jia Yan is even more incredible this time, actually fighting against 5 powerful men there? And it seems that his strength is even higher. Facing 5 top 10 strong men, that godlike existence can't defeat him quickly even if 5 of them can deal with him. Is this still the one who was rated as a dark horse at the Collection Point conference and could possibly defeat a starry midtermer? Not to mention the midterm starry sky, even the top 10 strong men, he is now fighting 1 against 5, it is so dark. This is the deserted big media channel, this is an urgent news from the starry sky. Good evening, viewers, it is emergency information time, now you will be contacted by our emergency news reporter. There was a big war in a remote area. Perhaps no one could have imagined that the 2 parties involved in this war were actually 5 of the top 10 powerful men in this galaxy, and the other side was a strong man who caused a lot of noise some time ago. He is also the most famous and powerful person in this galaxy recently. He is the dark horse who became famous in the collection conference and has brought news to people all the way, Jia Yan. Jia Yan actually launched a counter-attack against the 5 powerful men this time, and was even able to save his life under the attack of the 5 powerful men. What is the reason for this, and what will the appearance of this strong man do to this galaxy? Due to the impact, we invited Mr. Pippin Peng from the War Expert Academy in the Desolate Galaxy and asked him to analyze it for us. The entire media, no, I should say except the media, the entire deserted galaxy, suddenly boiled because of the signal from this collection ship. You know, this is not an ordinary battle between strong men. But the 5 powerful men who are like gods, fight against each other with 5 battles. At least in recent decades, the 5 powerful people have not shown their battles in public. This is a necessary sense of mystery. Of course, the opportunities for the 5 powerful people to take action are too few. In this star field, they have always been the invincible kings, and they are also gods in the eyes of a large group of people and forces. But today's battle made their image seem to collapse. Jia Yan, who was only regarded as a dark horse or a terrifying powerhouse in the media before, is now fighting against this group of gods. This is not an ordinary battle between strong men. If there is a winner in this battle, it may even greatly affect the shape of today's desolate galaxy. A famous scholar and strong men were invited, including the Mantis Master who had been the referee of Jia Yan. I really don't know. When this strong man was in the conference, he was not much different from the ordinary strong men in the early stage of the starry sky. Even when I showed pressure on him, he showed an unbearable expression. If I knew that Lord Jia Yan was like this, it's terrible, I won't do that to him. The Mantis referee looked a little frightened towards Jia Yan. This is why he accepted the media invitation and immediately became the commentator. He wanted to hide his feelings towards Jia Yan in the eyes of the public. Apology. I am the star of Tianlong Star. It seems that the death of my son's son had something to do with Jia Yan. I also misunderstood Jia Yan because of this. But not long ago, we have found out that the matter was not caused by Jia Yan. Yes, I hope Master Jia Yan will forgive me for what I did. Among the dragon stars, Xin Chen actually appeared immediately and deliberately explained the battle as a media commentator under the dragon stars. There was no hidden unwillingness on his expression, but when he saw the live battle for the first time, he was frightened for a while. You must know that among the strong men who besieged Jia Yan, there were the strong Tianlongs in the desolate galaxy. His biggest reliance was Xin Wu, but Xin Wu, who had fully unleashed his strength, actually besieged Jia Yan together with other strong men, but he did not gain the slightest advantage. This made him make arrangements quickly. It was unbelievable to offend such a great god. Even if Lord Xingguo was standing on the opposite side of Jia Yan at this moment, he would not reprimand them for conducting a simple attack on such a terrifying existence. Apologetic. The entire desolate galaxy was not only shaken by such a prestigious being, but also the ordinary beings in front of the media who were most shaken. Some of them had not paid much attention to Jia Yan, a strong man who was in the news every day. Now they suddenly saw a person who could actually challenge 5 of the top 10 strong men. They were all in disbelief. It feels like the sky is falling. More and more media are broadcasting it. This can be said to be a scene of the war of the century. Even in areas with poor signal at the edge of the galaxy, pictures with not very good quality are displayed. In an area infinitely far away from the battle area, a huge spaceship was floating quietly in the universe. Although he is huge, his combat power does not seem to be too strong. At this moment, it is already covered with marks, and some parts are even damaged and become unusable. In this spaceship, a life form that looks like an Earthling is running around. That's right, this is where the huge camp-level spaceship of the Kudatan clan is located. After Jia Yan left, their life has not been easy. The old monster at the starry sky level actually became ill at such an important moment. He was old and looked like he was about to die. Therefore, the recent battles can only be fought by them. He and Karma were next. A fleet with only one heaven-level being comes and goes in an area full of star thieves. You can predict what the outcome will be. Ah! That bastard Jia Yan, you threw such a hot potato to me, and went to the center of the galaxy to make a show of yourself. He even provoked the top 10 powerful men before, but now he is probably dead and can't even find his bones. Bastard, you didn't even leave me the Onlabai number, how can I fight with those star thieves? Kamana is similar to a woman on Earth, but with a much larger 5-meter body, she is constantly venting anger in her room. After scolding for who knows how long, Kama knew that his anger would not do anything except frighten the Kudatan people outside, so he had no choice but to drink water to replenish his thirsty mouth, and side opens the only way to pass the time, media projection. Hello, viewers in front of the media. This is the live news from marginal media. Now for you who are on the margins, I bring you a major news from the central area of the barren galaxy. Karma looked at the news in front of her. Originally, this time period was the time for one of her favorite entertainment programs. Why was it changed to news? But when she heard it was big news, she listened patiently. Urgent news came from the center of the galaxy just now. Jia Yan, a strong man who has become famous recently, is currently fighting 5 of the top 10 strong men in the DGE 2593 Starry Sky area. It is said that the two sides have been fighting for a full 30 minutes. There is no winner or loser after throwing away the old. Puff. Upon hearing the news, Karma squirted out the water he was drinking. Ignoring the water stains on the floor, she stared blankly at the screen. The following is a picture of the battle at the front line. The battle between the two sides was extremely fast. We have invited experts from the Harbin period to interpret this battle for you and analyze the impact of this battle and the subsequent process. When the picture came, Kama's whole body was shocked. Looking at the giant mosquito in the picture, with the 5 powerful men joining forces, not only did they not fall at a disadvantage, but they even became more courageous as they fought. Kama's red lips opened wider and wider. It's almost big enough to fit into a small car. Oh my god, it's amazing. The boss that I recognize, the boss that I, Kama recognize, is actually, a strong person on the level of the top 10 strong people. 8. Was Who Chinese channel, Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky only represents the author Bulletin U's views. If you find that its content violates national laws and conflicts with national laws, please report it and we will delete it immediately. We are committed to providing a healthy and green reading platform. Actively cooperate with the Special Action to Combat Pornographic Information on the Internet. Please book friends to report it. Thank you everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 601. No, it's clearly at least the top among the top 10 strong men. It's not certain whether the strongest among the top 10 strong men can possess this strength. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, Kama jumped up for a moment. She didn't know why Jia Yan's body became stronger and bigger in such a short period of time, but she knew Jia Yan. In the entire starry sky, she had never seen another individual who looked similar to the Kuditan Jean Mosquito, but was so powerful. How could I doubt Boss Jia Yan just now? No way, that mouth is so mean. Hurry up, our fleet needs to go quickly to pick up Boss Jia Yan. Yes, hurry up. Thinking of this, Kama seemed to be stimulated and ran towards the outside world. In the Kuditan fleet, none of them noticed that Jia Yan was fighting in the starry sky at this moment. They were just a little shocked by Kama's decision, but they did not dare to offend the top expert who could only decide the life and death of the fleet. Miss Kama, Master Jia Yan's order at that time was for us to wait for him here. It's not good for us to go to the inner galaxy. Hello said with a troubled face to Kama, who looked excited. The Kuditan people are now surrounded by enemies on all sides, and even the old monster left by Jia Yan has become a loser who can only eat dry food. Entering the inner galaxy rashly will simply lead to death. Haha, you still don't understand what's going on? You're laughing so hard at me. What's the inner galaxy? You'll know after you watch the galaxy news. I guess some of your kind have seen it by now. Karma chuckled. Almost bent over with laughter. Aharola looked at Kama worriedly. There was already an extremely powerful madman in the fleet. Now if Kama also went crazy, he would have no choice. By then the camp-level spaceship must have been dismantled by two lunatics. Sure enough, at the moment when Harola was worried, a Kuditan man rushed into the meeting hall with a happy face. The news about Master Jia Yan, what a joy, Master Harola, what a great news for us Kuditan people. It turns out that Master Jia Yan is such a powerful existence, ha ha ha. What's wrong? Why are you all smiling like this? Harola saw this fellow and Kama look at each other, and both started laughing stupidly. Her face suddenly became horrified. Could it be that the madness is still contagious, and even her own fellows are infected? Got it? No, Mr. Elder, you should see it for yourself. I hope you won't show more excitement than us. Kama was very satisfied with Harola's expression. He didn't know when the elder saw Jia Yan's strength. What expression will it be? Sure enough, just 5 minutes later, a burst of laughter shocked the unsuspecting Kuditan people in the entire spaceship. They were all frightened. Could it be that their elders were also crazy? These Kuditan people are extremely frightened, and it seems that many people are going crazy today. They never thought that not long after, they would become one of the crazy people. Just an hour later, the Kuditan fleet flew towards the central galaxy. At this moment, the deserted galaxy has already been making a huge noise because of this unprecedented battle. Not only the forces in the galaxy who paid attention to this matter, but also the general public were dumbfounded by the emergence and progress of this battle. Some of them did not pay much attention to the gathering conference. This was the first time they heard about Jia. After checking Yan's name, I found out that the appearance of this powerful foreigner, who was said to be a foreigner, was actually so fast and amazing. Friends in the audience, this battle between Lord Jia Yan and the 5 powerful men has lasted for nearly 2 hours. The battle is still going on. This can be said to be the most terrifying battle in this planet in 10 years. Who will win? It's hard to say whether they are negative, but their impact has already appeared. Each media outlet has a different interpretation style for the battle between Big Mosquito and several powerful men. Some feel that Jia Yan will definitely lose. Of course, in fact, most of the media outlets were at the beginning. Those who believe this are just that as the battle progresses, more and more media have changed their tone. Even now, some media have changed their tone and praised Jia Yan, claiming that Jia Yan will definitely win. There are many forces in the deserted galaxy, and the headquarters of some forces are no weaker than the forces where the top 10 powerhouses are located, so that the media dare to openly look down upon the 5 powerhouses. No, 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 now that the battle has come, everyone has missed one thing, that is, Jia Yan is just one person. He has been fighting 5 powerful men of similar strength for so long. Even if he is really strong, he is not a strong man. He will fight against 5 strong men without a moment's rest. His physical strength cannot be compared with those of 5, so he will definitely lose next. How can you say that? Haha, you said that an hour ago, but in fact, Mr. Jia Yan is still very lively and vigorous up to now. I think he will continue to be very lively. It's just that several powerful adults are tired. He may still not suffer much loss. I think Mr. Jia Yan, maybe he is still hiding his strength now. Asshole, you actually praise the enemy like this. You have to know that as a current anchor, you are one of the top 10 powerful people who work hard to maintain the stability of the deserted galaxy, so you can have such a good job. How dare you praise the enemy? You are simply unreasonable. There was chaos in every media or radio station. As commentators and opponents, some even started fighting on the spot. It's no wonder that there is chaos at the moment. The top 10 powerful men have maintained their status as gods for decades. Although ordinary creatures in the deserted galaxy agree with it, there is always a feeling that they are not too approachable for such a powerful man. Today's 5 powerful men, after besieging Jia Yan, their image was suddenly pulled down from the status of gods. The tone of media workers towards them also changed. As for revenge? After this battle, God knows what will happen to the status of the top 10 powerhouses in the future. Maybe Jia Yan's mere existence could pull down the entire top 10 powerful men from their high status, and maybe even drive them out of the barren galaxy. That's why they dared to arrange the top 10 powerhouses so boldly. Jia Yan, you still have so much physical energy? Impossible. In the starry sky area, a strong man holding a hammer used his huge body to slam the hammer into the giant mosquito monster in front of him. Unexpectedly, after his strength was greatly reduced, the giant mosquito monster actually refused to dodge and directly used one of its front legs to annihilate its power together with its attack. Hey! If I don't have enough energy, you will know if you try it yourself. The giant mosquito monster Haoran is Jia Yan. He has a new feeling about the 2-hour battle at this moment. The feeling of the battle has also changed from the solemn one before to a bit casual now, just to practice his moves. And make a series of actions. Don't forget that Jia Yan had just completed his mutation before, and his strength had not reached its peak at all. However, in this battle, his strength was changing every minute. 2 hours later, his strength was still the same. He rose like a rocket, and now, he felt that if he wanted to defeat several powerful people, it was only a matter of time. Don't bully others too much, our strength is more than that. Pai Ian's body jumped out from behind, his claws seemed to be completely stuck in the space, and he grabbed Jia Yan directly. Hey, it's this move again. I guess you practiced this move in order to become a star. If you were a star, I would be more afraid. Now, the flaw is too big. Get out. Jia Yan looked at the opponent's lightning attack. Not only did he not dodge, he also followed the traces in the starry sky, and miraculously avoided a void. In that space, Pai Ian's claws were sharp. He grabbed it out, but only found nothingness. Ah! Pai Lan screamed in pain and flew backwards. The injuries on his body were already considerable, and now he had a new injury. It was simply the most serious injury among the powerful men today. Jia Yan sighed softly in his heart. His attack used almost 90% of his power, but it still only caused heavy damage, but could not directly kill Pai Lan. Although the top 10 strong men could not defeat him, they could not easily defeat him under siege. Anyone on the other side? Jia Yan, Die. No, just as he was about to step forward and hit Pai Lan with a blow, Xing Wu from behind had already pounced on him and attacked him with a direct blow. Taking advantage of the moment when Jia Yan and Xing Wu were entangled, Pai Lan flew out of the fighting area to relieve his injuries. Jia Yan became more and more familiar with the attack methods of these powerful men. And they also became more and more familiar with Jia Yan's abilities. In 2 hours, both sides knew each other well. They understood Jia Yan's defense and durability, but his biggest weakness was also the most likely comeback among the 5 powerful players. The place was also investigated by them. That's Jia Yan's attack power. Compared with defense and endurance, Jia Yan's attack power is extremely poor. This is not only because his attack power itself is not strong, but also because Jia Yan has too little combat experience, so attacks are easily dodged by them. The reason for passing is inside. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how long-lasting your endurance is, it is impossible to win if your attack power does not reach the point where you can simply kill us. Jia Yan, why don't we sit down and talk about it? Your strength is qualified to win. Take a seat among the top 10 powerful men and share the resources of this desolate galaxy. The third strong man blocked Jia Yan's attack with a pair of giant hammers, and then said to Jia Yan calmly. The other strong men did not interrupt, but judging from their retreating postures, it was obvious that they all agreed with the words of the strong man holding the hammer. Haha, if I enter your circle, where will I be ranked? How will the resources be arranged? Jia Yan knocked away the opponent's metal sledgehammer with one blow. His heart moved in a way that made people feel a little excited, and he asked softly. Your strength is beyond our expectations. However, your weak attack ability is also a big shortcoming. If you join, we will first let you be the strong one in the 11th rank, and then we will try our best to teach you to be strong. How about the attack method? This is an excellent condition, the strong man holding the hammer said to Jia Yan seductively. That's right, you wanted to steal a few chaos stones before, so you did something like sneaking into the collection point to harm the face of a strong man. Although I don't know why you collected chaos stones, if you join us, the chaos stones will increase every year. Take it, you can share 1/12 of it. This is an excellent opportunity, Jia Yan, we are optimistic about you and that's why we asked you to join, Xing Wu on the side also said slightly unnaturally. There was nothing they could do about Jia Yan. After the 2-hour battle, although they still had some methods that they had not yet used, they were not absolutely sure that they could kill Jia Yan, who was defending like a demon. It is better to include this strong man in the camp of the top 10 strong men. If the other party joins, even if the top 10 strong men become the top 11 strong men, there will only be one more person to share resources with, which is better than fighting him to the death. Should I join the top 10 and become the 11th? Jia Yan stopped attacking and stood proudly in the starry sky, muttering to himself hesitantly. That's right, Jia Yan, your strength is obvious to all, and the forces in this starry sky will definitely agree that you will be among the top 10 powerful people. And with your joining, our 11 powerful people will be able to the tentacles extend into several other nearby galaxies. Maybe a brighter future will be revealed in front of us. In 100 years, no, at most 50 years, the resources that our 11 strong men will have will be greater than they are now. Doubling the time, when the time comes, you will share the promotion method you have mastered, and our 11 powerful men will all be promoted to the star level. By then, even the Losai Empire will not dare to underestimate us, Xingguo said. Follow your own ambition. How to be promoted? Stellar level, Jia Yan was a little shocked by the other party's words. He really had a vague idea about being promoted to stellar level during this mutation, but he didn't told anyone about this matter. How come this Xingguo knew about it? Judging from the looks of the other 5 powerful men, it seems that they also know about this matter, of course. What is going on? Jia Yan's somewhat surprised and uncertain expression turned out to be that he was concentrating on thinking in the eyes of several powerful men. Haha, what are you thinking about, Jia Yan? You know, in the nearby starry sky, we are the only ones with chaos stones, the strong man holding the hammer continued to say to Jia Yan. He. Suddenly, Jia Yan stood proudly and laughed softly. He held his head high. Looking at the scarred strong men surrounding him, Jia Yan shook his head. There was a hint of disappointment in his compound eyes. The top 10 strong men, in my opinion, were so mysterious and powerful, but now, your performance really disappoints me, Jia Yan said lightly. In his words, it seemed that he had no intention of accepting the other party's proposal. The 5 strong men on the other side also gradually solidified their expressions at this moment. They understood what Jia Yan's statement at this moment represented. I originally thought that the top 10 powerful people with great reputations should be the ones with the most powerful demeanor. But when I meet you, your performance really disappoints me. The top 10 powerful people are just a group of people. They are just a group of common people who rely on their own strength to seize their status and refuse to let it go, Jia Yan continued. Jia Yan was not tempted at all by the invitation from the top 10 powerful men, because he knew that after he used the Chaos Stone to mutate, his body became extremely resistant to the Chaos Stone. The current Chaos Stone, for him, not much different from ordinary energy matter. He would listen to what the other party said, just to see what kind of guys the so-called top 10 strong men were. It's just that the result disappointed Jia Yan. These so-called top 10 strong men should have been extremely powerful in his opinion. They had the heart of a strong man. Even if they were considering their own interests, they would not be so tacky. But he didn't want to. The reality was different from what he thought. They were just ordinary strong men. Their eagerness for profit made Jia Yan nauseous. I don't agree with your proposal. Come on, let's continue fighting. Jia Yan stepped out with his front foot, as if stepping on the hearts of the 5 strong men. They looked at Big Mosquito in horror at this moment. His fighting spirit seemed to be still so fierce, and his momentum was still as if he had just started a war, without any loss at all. What's even more terrifying is that his slightly blue body has no traces on it. You must know that during the 2 hours of fighting, Jia Yan's body was also attacked by the 5 powerful men no less than 100 times, but at this moment it is as clean as new. Such a terrifying defense, simply terrifyingly powerful. Facing the Big Mosquito who wanted to start the war again, several powerful men seemed to be extremely frightened and stepped back a lot. Young man, please stop. Just when Jia Yan was about to launch an attack, a slightly aged voice came from a distant space. Who? Jia Yan's body trembled. He was a little surprised and looked up at a certain area in the sky. Huh. The 5 powerful men who were extremely wary of Jia Yan also felt the approach of this voice. Unlike Jia Yan, they were all shocked and seemed to recognize the owner of the voice, and they all expressed surprise. Expression. While Jia Yan was looking at a certain close area of the universe, a vortex similar to a space rift suddenly appeared in that area. Then from the whirlpool, a monster that looked like a giant water droplet stepped out. Water droplet tribe. Jia Yan vaguely remembered that he had seen similar existences before, but the water droplet tribe creatures he saw at this moment actually stood directly in the universe, as if they were not afraid of the temperature and rays in the universe. The water drop clan is an extremely terrifying and powerful race. This race is even more powerful than the top experts of most races. The 100-meter large water droplet clan that appeared in front of us was obviously the most powerful among the water droplet clan. Young man, I apologize to you on behalf of our top 10 strong men for the offense they have caused you. Please don't continue fighting. This is meaningless to you and to us. After the strong man from the water drop clan appeared, a faint strong pressure occupied the scene. Not only Jia Yan, but also the several strong men were suppressed by the extremely powerful pressure at this moment, with horrified expressions on their faces. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 602. This What a terrifyingly powerful aura. Is he a star? No. He can't be a star. Although his strength is unparalleled, it is not beyond my reach. Jia Yan looked at the strong man from the Water Drop clan who was showing his power, and his expression finally became solemn again. Compared to the 5 powerful men, this newly emerged existence truly has the demeanor of a strong man, and his strength is really incomparable to the 5 guys over there, which brings Jia Yan's sense of threat is so powerful. I don't know who you are. Jia Yan did not reject the other party's remarks, nor was he convinced directly, but said to the other party calmly. Boy, you actually dare to talk to our boss like that, you are looking for death, Pai Lan over there yelled angrily at Jia Yan. Jia Yan, please admit defeat. This is Brother Tengo, the most powerful among our 10 strong men. His strength is not at our level. If you admit defeat and go to jail for 100 years, maybe you will see the light of day again in the future. One day Xing Wu on the other side persuaded him seemingly sincerely. Haha. Jia Yan didn't agree with their thoughts. After smiling slightly, he turned his head to the strong man from the Water Drop tribe. Is this Tengo? He is the most powerful person in the deserted galaxy, and he is the top starry sky level expert who came here through the cosmic mercenary system. It seems that you have done some research on me, but with you in this galaxy, I don't dare to claim to be number 1, right? Even if I can beat you now, with your promotion speed, it won't be long before you completely surpass me. The strong man from the Water Drop clan, the strongest master in the entire desolate galaxy, looked at Jia Yan, with no expression on his face that looked like water waves. Hearing that he said that even if he can beat Jia Yan now, Jia Yan will definitely surpass him in the future, Jia Yan just smiled slightly. His mosquito face couldn't show any expression, so no one knew he was smiling. Then Lord Tengo, did you appear, as they said, to arrest me and imprison me for 100 years, Jia Yan did not directly respond to the other party's words, but continued to ask lightly. Why would I think that? Young man, if you are willing to leave like this, I would be very happy. Waves flashed in the body of Tengo's Water Drop clan, obviously not agreeing with what the other strong men said. Discourse. Although he didn't express his stance directly, judging from his attitude, it was obvious that he didn't want to continue the feud with Jia Yan. Then thank you Lord Tengo for your kindness. If it weren't for this situation, I would really like to have a discussion with you. I think it will be of some benefit to both of us. Jia Yan looked at the display with some fighting spirit. He saw in Tengo the terrifying aura of the Water Drop clan monster that he felt powerful enough to fight with all his strength. But it was obvious that the other party had no interest in fighting Jia Yan. I am not a lively young man like you. Well, if you agree to leave, I will give you some compensation. It is also a small sign of disrespect for you as an ungrateful ally like me. That day I said to Jia Yan's words were not moved at all. It seemed that at his level, he didn't want to fight too much in vain. After finishing speaking, a floating card flew up in front of Zheng Guiyue. The card was black as a whole, but inlaid with gold edges, making it look extremely noble. This is a black card from the Northern Star Territory Alliance Bank. It can be used not only in the Northern Star Territory, but also represents identity. I think your behavior means you want to get over it. I'm here, this black card is not very useful, I will compensate you this time, I said calmly that day. Brother Tengo, this is the black card you obtained through the Space Mercenary Organization after fighting life and death. How can you give it to him? Palinu on the side was so angry that he couldn't understand that among the top 10 strong men how could Tengo, whom he was most in awe of, give in to Jia Yan like this. Now that Tengo appeared, the 5 of them plus Tengo, even if Jia Yan's combat power really reached Tengo's star level supreme status, he might still be killed. Bar. Okay, I want to make friends with this young man, and I won't tolerate you talking too much. Tengo glanced at Palin, who only felt a terrifying pressure, and directly suppressed Palin. He was so suppressed that he couldn't even speak. Boss Tango has actually become so powerful. Pai Lan and the other 10 powerful men were extremely horrified. You must know that among their top 10 men, Tango, the original space mercenary, is a terrifying person. He is an extremely strong man, but he was not so terrifying in the past, but now he can suppress Pai Lan with just the use of coercion. Jia Yan looked at Tango and happened to see him using coercion. Haha, is this an indirect threat to me? Jia Yan looked at Tango, as if a black card with no known purpose could not satisfy him. Tango, on the other hand, looked deeply at the big mosquito in front of him, whose aura was far weaker than his own, but yet domineering. There was also some vague discomfort in his expression. But after all, he is a terrifying starry sky-level being. For this strong man, he has experienced too much, and he also knows that sometimes, bowing his head at the right time is not a bad thing. He sighed. Young man, on behalf of the top 10 strong men, I would like to apologize to you here. I'm sorry. Suddenly, Tango actually bent his water-like body to Jia Yan and bowed deeply in front of several other strong men and in front of the media live broadcast. This, Lord Tango, you. The few powerful men on the side had no idea that Tango would do such a thing. When they reacted, Tango, the strongest among them, actually bowing down and apologizing to a person whose name I had never heard before, who had not shown overwhelming power against them just now. This, on each live broadcast platform, the hosts and guests all opened their eyes wide, disbelieving what they saw in front of them. The most powerful of the 10 powerful men, the god among the gods, actually bent down to apologize to others. Although they couldn't hear the conversation between several powerful men, everyone could see clearly that Lord Tango, the god among gods, was sitting in the deserted galaxy. Everyone thought he was a god of war, but he actually treated Jia Yan one waist salute. They couldn't believe that Jia Yan's strength was indeed powerful, but they didn't think he could defeat Tango. But Tango saluted as if he was admitting defeat. Kama, who was in the far corner of the galaxy and came here, had been laughing and joking with Halola. Now she was thirsty again, so she drank a glass of water. After seeing the incident where Jia Yan fought against the 5 powerful men alone, she felt that nothing could make her too excited. Her boss, Jia Yan, was able to fight against the 5 powerful men. After seeing this, she felt that even if the sky fell, nothing would be able to scare her. Karma was indeed shocked by Tango's appearance, but she was not too shocked. This was a normal thing after all. She was just a little worried about her boss. As a heaven-level powerhouse, she has also done some research on Tango, and knows how powerful this strongest among the top 10 powerhouses is. He was thinking that his boss should bow his head to Tango and then find a way to escape, but he never expected that Tango, the existence in the entire galaxy that was like a sea-fixing needle, would actually turn around and find himself under the gaze of countless pairs of eyes. She bowed down and apologized to her boss, Mr. Jia Yan. Karma still couldn't hold it back, and the glass of water in his mouth continued to spray all over the room. What? How is it possible? Lord Tango saluted and apologized to boss Jia Yan. Am I dazzled? Shouldn't it be the boss who bent down and retreated in embarrassment under Lord Tango's pressure? Why is it the other way around? Is the world changing too fast, or am I too young? Kamo looked messy in the wind, and his whole body was trembling. Her beautiful eyes were wide open, as if she didn't believe what she saw in front of her. Ah! No matter what happened, this is because of my boss's awesomeness. Oh my god, Tango-sama actually bends down and apologizes without a fight. You are worthy of being my boss. Hello, come on. Stop being sneaky and knock us all the way out, who dares to stop us? Our boss is Lord Jia Yan. How can you do this without being majestic? What happened in the Kudatan fleet here was unknown to the strong men confronting them. Faced with Tango's unexpected stoop to apologize, even Jia Yan didn't think about it. There was a flash of surprise in his eyes. He is worthy of being a true strong man. Compared with the other so-called top 10 strong men, this being truly feels like a strong man. Jia Yan secretly nodded at Tango's magnanimity. After that, he also made a decision. Well, since Lord Tango loves me so much, I would be a fool if I didn't know what to do. Jia Yan smiled softly. The black card flying in the sky was caught by Jia Yan and stuffed into the Anglibi behind. The Anglibi was slightly affected in the previous battle. Fortunately, the other party did not want to destroy the Anglibi. Maybe they planned to capture Jia Yan and see how such a small spacecraft could travel through space. Bar. My lords, today's battle will be fought by me, Meng Lang. I hope you won't hold any grudges. Goodbye. Jia Yan looked deeply at the 5 powerful men with scars on their bodies, and then looked at Tango behind him, who seemed a little nervous. It's a pity that I didn't fight this strong man. He entered the title of Anglibi. Not long after, flames shot up from the rear of the Angliba, and then slowly accelerated, no longer feeling a trace of anxiety, and slowly left. Haha, top 10 strong men. In the Anglibi, Jia Yan looked behind with a slight smile through the side of the ship. He saw the appearance of each strong man and almost ignored them. Only when he saw Tango did he appear slightly calm. It's not that I don't want to fight him to prove my strength, but now. Jia Yan looked at his body and stopped talking to himself. But if I think about it, there are many similar strong men in this vast starry sky. If I want to fight, wouldn't there be many opportunities? Why do I have to fight Tango at this time? He finally shook his head lightly. The speed of the Anglibi suddenly increased, and the stars behind it suddenly flew upside down. The speed could not be faster. In the area behind, the 6 top 10 experts, all except Tango, looked at each other in confusion. When Tango appeared, they thought they would teach Jia Yan a lesson, but they did not expect that Tango would just use a compromise method. In this way, he made peace with Jia Yan and paid for a VIP card from the Northern Star Territory. Although the VIP card was of little use to Tango now, it represented his former reputation. Lord Tango, why did you just let Jia Yan go like this? You have to know that this guy has greatly embarrassed our 10 strongest men. Xingyu on the side has grown to a height of more than 120 meters, dominating almost all the monsters present. Do you think I don't want to keep him? Do you really think that Jia Yan, who is fighting with you, is his true strength? Tango watched Jia Yan's command of Anglibi leave with deep shock in his eyes. Color. Before he came here, he wanted to take action. From his perspective, he couldn't see that Jia Yan was a being who was closely related to the sacred strong man in his impression. So before, he just wanted to teach him a lesson. Just for a moment and then exile him. But he didn't expect that when he actually stood in front of Jia Yan, he was not only shocked by Jia Yan's surging vitality, but also shocked by the strength that was constantly rising in the other person's body. As a water droplet who has reached the pinnacle of the starry sky level, he is almost unbeatable except for the strong ones at the star level. However, when he just watched Jia Yan, he saw the possibility of his own failure. You must know that one of the most important talents of the Water Drop clan is to observe the enemy's aura of strength. And the Jia Yan he saw, the surging vitality, represented the opponent's astonishing youth, and the opponent's surging hidden strength showed that Jia Yan, who had fought against several powerful men before, was still not at his strongest. This may be because the opponent is still hiding his strength, or it may mean that the power hidden in Jia Yan's body is still very strong, and when this power is released, even he, Tango, feels that there is not much chance of victory, so there is a scene from before. Okay, you don't need to talk anymore. Just treat Jia Yan's matter as an accident in this starry sky. Tango looked at Jia Yan who had left and had no intention of returning, and he knew that this small desolate galaxy couldn't tolerate that terrifyingly young existence, and he sighed softly. He was really envious of the other person's age. At that age, if he was born into the wholly powerful family, then his future would be limitless. It might even be possible to reach an extremely powerful position among stellar powerhouses. Damn it, some kind of Jia appears out of nowhere. Our image in this starry sky is completely ruined. That Pai Lan looked at some of the interview ships that had gathered faintly, and sighed in frustration. At this time, none of them said anything about the great existence or that Jia had mastered a method of promotion. Because Jia is so powerful, they can't deal with it at all. Even if the other party really has a similar plan, they can't seize it. No, I won't be willing to retaliate against the other party. It seems that Jia is going to the Northern Star region. There are many more powerful people there than our barren galaxy, and the forces are more mixed. I will eliminate Jia system. If you pass it on, there may be many strong people trapped at the top of the starry sky level who will be interested in this news. Thinking of Jia destroying the essence of his Chaos Stone, Pai Lan turned on the communicator with some reluctance. I can't believe that Jia, the most powerful person in our galaxy, Lord Tengo, can leave calmly. This is simply unbelievable. Jia, but Lord Jia, could it be that he has already? Is it so powerful that even Tengo-sama is unsure of it? The live broadcast host, who was famous as a commentator, was stunned, and the guests, some of whom had dealt with Jia before, were trembling now. Master Jia, when he fought with them before, if he used a full, no, half-strength force is enough to kill them to pieces. Fortunately, these strong men didn't seem to have much disrespect towards Jia before, but some of them had ridiculed Jia. Their hearts were really beating at this moment. For this being, even Master Tengo had to apologize to resolve the matter. Feeling extremely worried. Fortunately, Jiayan's spaceship seemed to fly towards the outer reaches of the galaxy in one breath, and even jumped directly into space after a certain distance, performed a space jump, and disappeared from the media lenses. It looked like he has no idea of returning to the center of the galaxy. Okay, let's end the matter of the desolate galaxy. I don't have any big enemies here. The few that are there are all those who suffer from me. Although I really want to see if the stars see me. What kind of expression will it be? But it's not interesting, so forget it. Aboard the Anglibi, Jiayan was cleaning up the mutated debris on the ground of the spacecraft while thinking about the gains and losses in the deserted galaxy. He knew that after the battle with several powerful men, even if the others did not show up, his status as one of the top powerful men in the desolate galaxy had been confirmed. At least now, almost no force dares to disobey him. If he has the idea of settling down, then living here, his status will be comparable to the top 10 strong men, or even worse, because his strength is really, as Tengo said in the end, and it is constantly increasing even now. Middle. But it's impossible for me to stay here. This starry sky is destined to be just a memory in my life. Jiayan shook his head. His eyes no longer looked behind him, but turned to look towards ahead. I was worthy of being the strongest that day. Maybe at the end, I found that my newly promoted body was still getting stronger. If he really fights me, relying on the full burst of strength and the absolute defensive power of Azure Defense, maybe it will still only become a whetstone for me to quickly improve my strength. I have to say that the saying that people become better with age really suits him. Thanks to the readers who have subscribed to Chidion.com, please subscribe to Kidion. The money you pay for subscribing to Kidion is the same, but you can receive more money.